story you are about to hear is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent. You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned to homicide detail. A 25-year-old man is found hiding in a freight car in a deserted train yard. In his arms, he holds the body of a dead woman. The victim's identity is unknown. The suspect refuses to talk. Your job? Investigate.
Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case transcribed from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Tuesday, January 18th. It was cold in Los Angeles. We were working the night watch out of homicide detail. My partner's Frank Smith. The boss is Captain Warman. My name's Friday. I was on the way back from the record bureau, and it was 10:38 p.m. when I got to room 42. Homicide detail.
Joe?
Hi. They cop out to anything yet?
Nothing. I keep asking him questions. Might as well be talking to myself. He might be in a state of shock.
No, I don't think so.
You got anything on him from R&I?
No, he's clean. You and Stahl want to get over to the morgue, roll the dead woman's prints?
Yeah, sure. Maybe you'll have better luck with him. See you later.
Yeah, sure. Here's your driver's license, Gordon. Better put it back in your wallet. Gordon, put it back in your wallet. Now, look, son, I don't think you're helping yourself much by keeping quiet. There's a lot of explaining to be done here. I'm afraid you're the only one who can do it. Gordon? All right, son, it's just a matter of time. You're going to have to tell somebody sooner or later. Why won't you tell us now? Come on, what do you say? Well, look, son, I'll tell you the truth. I don't get the reasoning behind all this. We know there's nothing wrong with you. We know you can talk all right. You talked to the officers in the radio car who brought you in. You know as well as I do, you're going to have to explain what's happened here. You're going to have to explain that dead body. You want to get it over with now? Look, Gordon, if you didn't kill the woman, you haven't anything to worry about. And if you did, we're going to find out anyway. Who was the woman, Gordon? Will you tell me that much? What's her name? You know her very long? Did you know her very long? What was she to you? Do you want to tell me that? She's a fairly middle-aged woman in her early 50s, I'd say. Is that about right? Was she your mother, Gordon? Older sister, maybe? Any relation at all? What's the matter, son? You feeling sick? How about a cigarette? All right. Bother you if I smoke? I hope you haven't got the idea we're trying to trick you into anything, Gordon. We've got a dead woman on our hands here. We've got to find out why she's dead. Now, what do you say? No use looking up at the clock, son. We're stuck here till we find out about that woman. That goes for both of us. Homicide, Friday. Oh, yeah, Jack. No, not right now. Ought to be back about a half hour. Yeah, half hour. Right, I'll tell him to call you. Right, bye. I got an idea, Gordon. Might help set your mind at ease. Now, number one, if you think we're out to build a frame against you on this thing, let me tell you that you're wrong, and I'll prove it to you, son. I'm going to tell you exactly what we know about this case, everything. And when I'm finished, maybe you can fill in the blank spots for us, huh? What's the matter, your headache? Some aspirin in my locker there if you want some. No? All right. Here's all we know about it. Now, one of our radio cars, 1A4, answered a call from the night watchman down in the freight yards. He told the officers that he'd spotted a man wandering around down at the far end of the train yards near the west gate. Watchman only saw him at a distance, but he said he could make out the man and that he saw that he had a woman with him. She must have either been sick or she had too much to drink because the man appeared to be dragging her along with him. The two of them disappeared behind a line of boxcars on the siding. When the watchman went out to look for the two people, he couldn't find them. Called the radio car, and when the officers got there, they started searching. I finally found you hiding back in the corner of an empty boxcar there. You were holding that dead woman in your arms. There wasn't anything the officers could see that might have caused the woman's death. There were no marks on the body. Nothing visible, anyway. When they tried to question you, all that you'd tell them was your name and that you didn't want to live, that you didn't care what happened to you. Well, that's about the size of it, Gordon. Did I leave anything out? Gordon? Oh, yeah. There is something else. From what we could gather, the dead woman had been doing some drinking before she died. Matter of fact, looks like she was a pretty heavy drinker. And another thing, we know you and the woman got into the train yard down by the west gate. We know that you dragged your body across the freight yards to that empty boxcar that they found you hiding in. The heel marks from her shoes lead from the sidewalk through the dirt directly to the door of that boxcar. We could see where you dragged your body from the door back to the corner of the car. Now, that's the whole story so far, Gordon. You want to fill in the rest? Son, how about it? Who is the woman? All right, look, how about these items we found in your pocket, Gordon? This address book here. Is this a woman's name in here? Or this handkerchief with a lipstick on it? Were you out with another girl tonight? Were you, son? If you were, it might help to tell us who she is. Do you hear me, son? How about this lady's ring you had in your pocket? Name Elizabeth engraved on the inside. Does that tie in at all, Gordon? Who's it belong to? Homicide Friday. Oh, yeah, Frank. You get an ident on her? Mm-hmm. H-O-F-F-M-A-N. 2 N? Right. You going out there now? Okay, take O'Donnell with you, huh? Right, let me hear from you. What? No, not yet. No. All right, bye. That was my partner, Gordon. The officer who was in here with you. They took the dead woman's fingerprints. They've got her identified, son. It's Elizabeth Hoffman, age 52 years, music teacher. Last known address, 5473 6th Avenue. They're on their way out there now to check it. All right, relax, Gordon. That window doesn't lead anywhere. Now, you want to take another look at this ring? You got a fair idea that it means something, Gordon. They examined the dead woman's hands. They know she was wearing a ring recently. Her name's Elizabeth Hoffman. Name Elizabeth engraved inside this ring. Now, look, boy, we're going to get the answer sooner or later. How about it? What were you doing with this ring in your pocket? Now, let me tell you something, young fella. I don't know what's bothering you, but whatever it is, we're going to find it out. Now, get it through your head. You're in a bad spot. If you're not interested in helping yourself, then neither am I. The monkey's on your back. You're going to have to help scratch it off. Now, get with it. What's it all about? All right. Let's have your driver's license. Come on, get it out. All right, I'll take it. Gordon John Miller, 2055 Malcolm Avenue, Los Angeles. Hello, information. If you have a phone listing for 2055 Malcolm Avenue, thank you. Yes, ma'am. 32192. Thanks a lot.
Put the phone down.
You ready to tell us?
No, I won't tell you.
All right, any way you want it, Gordon.
You can't call them. You can't. I won't let you. You can't call them.
All right, take it easy.
They can't tell you. They don't know. Give me the phone.
Right,
You
sit
can't.
down. I said sit down. If you won't answer the questions, we'll find somebody who will. Give me your wrist. Now, sit still. Now, the sooner you get it through your head you're not here on a traffic ticket, the better. You're going to stay cuffed to that chair till we're ready to book you. I'm sick of treating you like a baby.
They can't tell you. They don't understand. They can't tell you.
They can't be any worse than you. Now, sit still there. Hello, is this the Miller residence? 2055 Malcolm Avenue? My name's Friday, ma'am. Police Department, Central Homicide. Who's this speaking, please? I see. Miss Miller, are you related to a Gordon Miller? Your brother? Uh-huh. No, he's not hurt. There's nothing wrong with him. Ma'am? Yes, he's here. We're holding him. Wonder if you'd be kind enough to come down here to the City Hall. It's the City Hall, yes, ma'am. It's important. We'd like to talk to you. No, as soon as possible. Yeah, You can get in through the Main Street entrance. Main Street, M-A-I-N. It's room 42 on the main floor. Just ask for Friday. That's my name. All right, thank you. Goodbye. It's your sister, Lillian. She's on her way down, Gordon.
It's not going to help. She doesn't know. None of them know.
Who's them? You mean your family?
You shouldn't have called. They don't know about it. They can't tell you. Why did you have to call?
You know why, Gordon. We gave you plenty of chance to tell us yourself. The answers have to come from somewhere.
What answers? What do you want me to say?
Homicide, Friday. What? How's that again? No, I'm afraid you have the wrong extension. You want vice detail. Just a minute. I'll have your call transferred. Yeah, would you give this call to 2607? Yeah, thank you.
I ask you. What do you want me to say? What do you want?
It's pretty simple, Gordon. Just tell us what happened tonight, will you?
She's dead, isn't she, Elizabeth?
Yes, that's right.
There's nothing else to say. I killed her.
Why did you kill her, son?
I'm not sure, really. I'm not. I think I felt sorry for her. I killed her, though. I know that much.
You murdered the woman, but you don't know why?
Yeah. I keep trying to remember. I can't. Doesn't seem real.
You've been drinking, Gordon?
Yeah. 2 or 3 days. We were going to have dinner tonight. We started drinking cocktails before. Quite a few. We never had dinner.
What do you mean by we?
The 2 of us. Elizabeth and I. Elizabeth Hoffman.
Where were you drinking?
I don't know. I'm telling you the truth. I keep trying to remember.
No marks on the body, Gordon. None we could see anyway. How'd you kill her?
I killed her. That's enough, isn't it? I murdered her. Please don't talk anymore.
I'm sorry, son. That's not even half the story. You admit you killed a woman. You won't tell us why. You won't tell us how.
They wouldn't let her alone. They kept hounding her. They drove her out of her mind.
Come on, son. Snap out of it. That's not going to help any. All right, come on.
Yeah.
Now, what's it all about? What'd you have to do with it?
I've known her for 10 years. She was my music teacher. Piano. Brilliant woman. Elizabeth was a real artist.
You've been taking piano lessons from her for 10 years, is that right?
Yes, sir. Elizabeth was arranging a concert tour for me. South America this fall. She said she was sure I'd be a success. I couldn't fail. Concerts in 8 cities, all over South America. We were going this fall. We were going to leave in August.
Mm-hmm. That have anything to do with her death?
I guess so, in a way. She did everything for me, and I had to kill her. Only one who believed in me. I can't tell you. Last 2 years, I didn't have any money to pay for my lessons. She didn't care. She even fed me, took care of me when I was sick once. She did everything for me.
You know, this is pretty hard to understand, son. She did everything for you, then why did you kill her?
What makes you think that's important? She's dead, and I killed her. You always ask why. It's not important how she died.
It is to us. Now, how'd you kill her, Gordon? Why'd you take her body down to the freight yards?
You should have known Elizabeth when she was alive. You never met a woman like her. Just wonderful. Talent. She was brilliant, understanding. Great woman, warm. No one like her, Sergeant. Great human being.
She drank quite a bit, didn't she, Gordon?
Yes. She drank. Reason for it, though. A lot of brilliant people. They drink once in a while.
She drank more than that, didn't she?
She had a reason for it. Who are you to sit in judgment on her? Elizabeth was a brilliant artist, great woman. Great. One of the finest musicians in the country, a great woman.
She was a drunk and a bad drunk. Now, let's face it, son. You know that as well as I do.
You're a liar. She wasn't. You're a rotten liar.
6 drunk arrests in 14 months. That's what her card reads in the record bureau. Those are the only times we know of. Now, how many can you add to it?
She drank. She thought it was the only way out for her. Wasn't any other way.
Yeah, well, you're talking in circles here, Gordon. Get it straightened out, will you?
You want to know why Elizabeth drank? Go ask my family. They'll tell you. They'll tell you a lot of things if you want to believe it.
What can they tell me that you can't?
Nothing. But they'll try and pretend they know. Liars. I don't want any part of them. And they don't want any part of me.
Don't you live with your family now, Gordon?
I haven't seen them for a year. I don't want to see them.
Why not? Don't you get along with them? Your father? Your mother?
My mother's dead. Died when I was 12. Just my father and my sister.
What What's the matter? Don't you get along with them?
I just want them to let me alone, that's all. Just let me alone.
How about Elizabeth Hoffman? Your family know her pretty well?
Yeah, they know her. They didn't understand her, though. I really loved her. She loved me.
I don't think I follow you, son.
I knew you wouldn't understand. I was in love with Elizabeth. She was in love with me. We were going to get married.
You're 25 years old, Gordon. Is that right?
Yes.
Elizabeth Hoffman was 52. That's what our records show here.
What about it?
Well, 27 years difference. That's a little unusual, wouldn't you say?
What of it? Everything that's great is unusual. That's what makes it great. I loved her. Time didn't make any difference. A few years, what's that? I loved her more than any woman in the world. She meant everything. I didn't care if she drank. I didn't care if she was old. You don't stop being beautiful just because you grow old. Elizabeth was beautiful.
Well, the drinking didn't help her much.
I don't care about that. I'll still say it. She loved me and I loved her. Believe me, please, I loved her.
All right, I believe you, son. Let me ask you this.
Yes?
You say you respected her. She was talented. You were grateful to her. She was generous. She made sacrifices for you, did everything for you that she could. Is that right? She loved you and you loved her. You were going to marry her.
Yeah. This fall on the way to South America. Going to be married. What we always wanted. Elizabeth would have been so happy. So happy.
Yeah, well, then why did you kill her?
Joe?
Yeah, Frank.
See you a minute?
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt you. Something I think you ought to know.
Yeah.
John and I checked the boarding house the Hoffman woman was staying at, checked her room. It's clean. Everything in order.
Mm-hmm.
Miss Miller had the room next to hers, shook his place down, too.
Anything?
His bags were all packed. Looked like he was ready to go. Something else.
Yeah.
On the kitchen sink, bottle of poison.
Tuesday, January 18th, 11:55 p.m. My partner, Frank Smith, and I continued questioning the murder suspect, 25-year-old Gordon Miller. While he freely admitted to the murder of his music teacher and fiancée, 52-year-old Elizabeth Hoffman, we still were unable to get him to give us a good reason for the murder. Whenever we put the question to him, he either refused to answer or he was evasive. We got the same results when we questioned him about how he killed the Hoffman woman and where he killed her. 12:20 a.m. The interrogation went on.
But you ought to remember where you killed her, Gordon. You say the two of you left the rooming house, you stopped for some drinks, and you went for a walk. Where'd you walk?
Down Arlington Avenue. We kept walking, and we turned off. We walked for a long time.
Were you anywhere near the freight yards when you killed her? Can you remember that?
No, I don't know. Like a nightmare. There's so much of it, I guess I don't want to remember.
And what's the last location you can recall, Gordon? I mean, before you found yourself in the freight yards.
Olympic Boulevard, I think. Someplace on Olympic. Kept walking and walking. I don't remember why.
You remember packing your suitcases before you left the boarding house?
Packing? Yeah, I think I do. Elizabeth and I talked about going away for a few days, someplace out of town. I think we're going to go tomorrow.
They checked both your rooms, Gordon, yours and Elizabeth Hoffman's. They found your bags packed, but there was nothing about her room that indicated she was going away. Everything was in order. Can you explain that?
I don't know. Maybe she didn't have time, hadn't gotten around to it. I guess you found the poison, too, huh?
That's right.
I got it 2 days ago. We thought about it. We even wrote a letter explaining why we do it.
Yeah.
We didn't have the courage, though. Neither one of us. We talked about it and decided to forget it. I've told you everything. There isn't anything else to say.
Friday?
Yeah. Oh, all right, Jeff. Send her in, please. You're Lillian Miller, is that right?
Yes, that's right.
I don't want to see her. I don't want to see her.
She's your sister, Gordon. She wants to see you.
Please, keep her out. I'll keep her away.
Gordon?
My name's Friday, Miss Miller. Come on in, please. Have a chair, won't you?
Thank you. How are you, Gordon? It's been such a long time. How have you been?
Chair, Miss Miller?
Thanks. Poor kid, what is it, Gordon? What's the trouble about? Honey, what is it? Won't you even look at me?
Get out of here. Let me alone. Get out.
Please, Gordon, don't. I'm here to help you, honey. They called me tonight. They said you're in trouble. What is it? Let me help you, please.
You can't help. She's dead. Now, will you go home? Elizabeth's dead. I killed her.
No. Merciful God, no.
Will you take her out of here, Sergeant? Tell her to go.
You don't know what you're saying, honey. He's not in his right mind, Sergeant. I know he isn't. Please, Gordon, you have to let us help you. I called Dad before I left. He's on his way here now. We'll get you a lawyer. Don't worry, honey. It'll be all right. Everything will be all right.
She's dead. Can you bring her back?
You couldn't have killed her, couldn't you?
Hounding her, torturing her. Why couldn't you let her alone? Why couldn't you let us alone?
We only did it for you, Gordon, and we thought it was best for you.
You fool. You fool.
Say anything you want, Gordon. I don't care, but let me help you, please. It doesn't count what I am. Just let me help you.
I'll get it. Okay, Jess, thanks. Henry Miller.
The boy's father.
I don't want to see him in here. I don't know him. He's not my father.
All right, take it easy, Gordon.
Please, honey, try to understand. We only want to help.
Who's in charge here?
My name is Friday, Mr. Miller. This is my partner, Sergeant Smith.
The handcuffs on my son. Gordon, who did it? Who put them on you?
I did, Mr. Miller. It's the only way we could settle him down.
Taking quite a bit of authority in your hands, aren't you? Get them off of him right now. No reason to handcuff him.
Sorry, can't be done.
I said take them off. I have a little influence in this town. I'll see to it that the police commission hears about this. Now, what's my son doing here anyway?
It's the Hoffman woman, Dad, Elizabeth Hoffman.
What about her?
She's dead. Gordon says he killed her, Dad. We've got to do something.
Don't tell him anything, Gordon. Don't say a thing. I'll get a lawyer for you right away. I know what your rights are. Don't tell him anything.
Did you know Elizabeth Hoffman, Mr. Miller?
I knew her slightly. Can't see what this fuss is all about anyway. Woman wasn't any good to begin with. No good at all.
You ought to be glad I'm handcuffed to this chair. I never thought of hitting you before. I'd like to do it now.
Please, Gordon, don't say those things.
As far as I can remember, you've been nothing but trouble. Now, either you snap out of it this time or you're on your own. I'm sick of this. Police stations, trampy women keeping you out of jail. Either you start to realize who's boss in this family or there's going to be real trouble. You'll find yourself out in the cold, you'll stay there.
Get him out of here. Get him out of my sight.
Please, Dad, he's not well. Try and understand.
I've had enough, Gordon. I'll send a lawyer for you. That's all I'll do. If you make up your mind I'm boss, you can come home. If not, you can stay away. Now, figure it out for yourself. I don't care.
I hate you. I hope you never forget it. I hate you.
Dad.
I'll see you at home, Lillian. It's the maid's night out. Lock the door before you go to bed.
Please, Dad, we've got to help. Don't leave, Dad. Dear God, dear God.
Sergeant.
Yeah.
Will you lock me up now? I'm tired.
All right, Gordon, just a minute. Frank, you want to stay with him?
Yeah, okay.
Miss Miller, you'd like to step outside for a minute? Something I'd like to ask you.
Yes, all right. You'll let me see Gordon again?
Yes, ma'am. Come on this way. Now, look. About this Elizabeth Hoffman, Miss Miller. Did you know her at all?
I tried to talk to her. I even offered her money if she'd let Gordon alone. It wasn't any use. She'd been drinking. She wouldn't even listen. Kept saying she was going to marry Gordon.
Well, what's the big attraction, do you know? I mean, between your brother and that woman.
There's only one thing Gordon ever really wanted. He wasn't too interested in women, things like that. All he wanted was to be a musician, a great pianist. That's all he ever wanted. The sad part about it is he'll never make it. I think down deep he knows that. When he was a kid, Dad sent him to the finest teachers. After 6 months, they all said the same thing.
Yes, ma'am.
He'd never make it. Oh, he could play well enough, but he certainly wasn't exceptional. He never improved. He just stayed the same. And he started taking lessons from Elizabeth. She convinced him he had a great talent, kept telling him she'd make a great pianist out of him. The last 3 years, she kept promising to take him on a tour, Europe, South America. It never happened. I think Gordon knew it never could happen.
I see. Can you think of any reason at all why he'd want to kill her?
There isn't any reason, none at all. Gordon didn't kill her. He couldn't kill anyone, I'm sure of it.
Well, I hope you're right, Miss Miller, for your brother's sake. Would you excuse me for a few minutes, please?
Yes, all right.
You wait here. You sit down if you want to. I'll be right back.
All right.
All set, Joe?
Yeah, in a minute. Gordon,
You ready to go?
I'd like to ask you one more question, son. I'd like to have you tell me the truth on this one.
Yeah?
What did you have in common with Elizabeth Hoffman? She was twice as old as you are. You gave up a lot for her. She didn't have any money. She was an alcoholic. What was the big attraction?
Why did I love Elizabeth? Is that what you mean?
Yeah, that's right.
You tell me, Sergeant. Why do you love any woman? Why? Because you need 'em. You need 'em. You can't be alone. Nobody can be alone. I needed Elizabeth. That's why I loved her. There's only been 2 women in the world who understood me. One of them was Elizabeth. The other one was my mother. She died when I was 12. Now they're both dead. Both of them. Only ones who understood.
Yeah.
My father didn't understand. He never did. All he knows is business, making money, more money. That's why he hated Elizabeth. He was jealous. She understood me. She knew what I was like, knew all about me. When I was with Elizabeth, I was safe. I was happy close to her. There wasn't anything to be afraid of. I'd go to her just like my mother. I'd put my head on her shoulder and she'd put her arms around me. I wasn't frightened anymore. I was safe. Everything was all right, just like when I was a little kid in the night. I'd call out for my mother. She was always there. She'd put her arms around me and everything was safe. I wasn't afraid. I needed her. It was the same way I needed Elizabeth. Do you understand now? Now do you know why I loved her?
Yeah, I think I do. There's only one question left. Why did you kill her?
I don't know. I really don't. Maybe I'll remember.
Look, Gordon, are you sure you killed her?
She died in my arms. I must have killed her. Tomorrow, maybe. Maybe I'll remember tomorrow. Is Lillian still here, my sister?
She's waiting outside.
Did you hear my father, what he said? Told her to be sure and lock the door.
Mm-hmm.
Just like my father. They don't have to lock that door. It was locked 13 years ago.
How do you mean?
It was locked the day my mother died.
The story you have just heard was true. The names were changed to protect the innocent.
On January 19th, an autopsy was performed at the county morgue, City and County of Los Angeles, State of California. The results of the autopsy performed on the body of Elizabeth Hoffman showed definitely that she had suffered from a chronic heart condition aggravated by excessive drinking. Cause of death was listed as myocarditis, inflammation of the heart muscle. Gordon Miller was released from custody and completely exonerated of the death of Elizabeth Hoffman. 18 months later, he took his own life.
You have just heard Dragnet, a series of authentic cases from official files. Technical advice comes from the office of Chief of Police W.H. Parker, Los Angeles Police Department. Ladies and gentlemen, you may now read Dragnet every day on the comic page of your favorite newspaper. Please consult your local daily paper. The story you are about to hear is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent.
Fatima Cigarettes, best of all king-size cigarettes, brings you Dragnet on both radio and television.
You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned to bunco detail. A team of confidence men are taking thousands of dollars from the people of your city. Their method of operation? Posing as solicitors for different charitable causes. There's no lead to their whereabouts. Your job? Stop them. Compare Fatima with any other king-size cigarette.
Yes, compare Fatima with any other king-size cigarette.
1. Fatima's length filters the smoke 85 millimeters for your protection.
2. Fatima's length cools the smoke for your protection.
3. Fatima's length gives you those extra puffs, 21% longer than standard cigarette size.
Fatima gives you more for your money.
And in king-size Fatima, you get an extra mild and soothing smoke, plus the added protection of Fatima quality. Buy Fatima in the bright, sunny yellow pack.
Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case transcribed from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Tuesday, February 16th. It was cold in Los Angeles. We were working the day watch out of bunco detail. My partner's Bill Lockwood. The boss is Captain Steed. My name's Friday. We were on the way out from the office, and it was 2:18 p.m. when we got to First and Valencia, the West Valley Hotel.
Over here to the left, Joe.
No, yeah. Excuse me?
Oh, sorry, we're all filled up. No more room.
No, we don't want to register. Here we are, police officers. I'd like to check one of your guests.
You have a Raymond Seidel registered? Seidell?
Let's see. No, there's no Raymond Seidel registered.
Small man, about 5'6", 130 pounds, tan complexion, between 35 and 40, wears horn-rimmed glasses.
Well, I don't know. What's the trouble anyway?
Anyone like that registered here?
Well, I was just about to say there's no Raymond Seidel. We got a Raymond Singer, though. A small fella. He wears glasses.
Yeah.
I'd say he was about 35 or 40.
He in his room now?
No, matter of fact, he just left a minute ago. He went out for lunch, I think, just before you fellas walked in.
Where's he usually eat, you know?
Our coffee shop right next door. He's got a gray top coat on, gray hat.
Okay, thanks.
You can use that door right here. It connects with the coffee
Right,
shop.
thank you.
Spot him?
Yeah, far into the counter up by the front door, see him?
Yeah, description checks out.
All right, come on.
Spotted us going for the front door.
All right, police officers, hold it up there.
Making a run for it.
All right, come on. This way.
Where'd he go? I lost him.
Alley up ahead. He ducked in there.
Down the ramp, Joe. Hotel garage. Ran in there.
All right, come on, let's hurry. You spot him, Bill?
No. Any other way out beside this ramp?
Wait a minute. Yeah, down the far end there, another exit. I'll take that. You cover this end.
Right.
Hey, watch it, Bill. He's coming out. The blue sedan.
All right, hold it. Look out, Joe. Coming at us.
I'll go for his tire. All right, come on, Bill.
All right, stay where you are. All right, don't shoot. Don't shoot.
All right, then hold it right there.
What's the pitch, anyway? Wasn't doing anything.
Hands behind you.
Raymond Seidel, is that right?
That's right. I wasn't doing anything. What's this all about?
You know as well as we do.
Look what you did in my car. Just look at it.
You cracked it up, mister. We didn't. Come on.
Come on, where? I haven't done anything.
We want to talk to you downtown.
I'm not saying anything. You can talk to my lawyer. Get the story from him.
We already got it. Come on, let's go. 2:35 p.m. We took the suspect, Raymond Seidel, back to the hotel with us, where we checked his room thoroughly. Bill got on the phone, made arrangements to have Seidel's car impounded and a stakeout placed at the hotel. Then we drove back to the city hall and took the suspect to the interrogation room. A check through our Records and Identification Bureau earlier in the day had revealed a fair-sized record for Seidel. He'd had 4 previous local arrests, 2 for petty theft, 1 for second-degree burglary, 1 for grand theft auto. He'd been convicted on one of the petty thefts and also on the burglary charge, for which he'd served time in the state penitentiary at San Quentin. Bill and I started questioning him. The first half hour, we got nowhere.
I told you, I haven't been doing anything. I've been clean ever since I got out.
Where were you last night, Ray?
Knocking around town.
What'd you do?
Had a couple of drinks, went to a show, came out and went to see some bimbo I know.
What's her name?
Helen lives up on South Custer, and you can ask her. She'll tell you I was there.
What time did you see her?
About 10 o'clock? Yeah, just about.
You're a liar, Ray.
Hmm?
You're a liar.
Who gives you a call to say that? It's the truth.
And 4 other people must be lying.
Well, what do you mean, what other people?
You know what I mean. Now, how about it, Ray?
I don't know what you mean, so help me. I don't.
Why don't you give it up, Seidel? You ought to know better. We wouldn't have you down here if we didn't have you pegged.
Pegged for what? I don't even know what you're talking about.
All right, then I'll tell you, Ray. About 8:30 last night, you put in a call to a Mr. and Mrs. Gerald Keyes. They live out in East Hollywood, Gladstone, 3962. Mrs. Keyes answered the phone. You told her you were taking contributions for European children, war orphans. You knew she was interested in the cause. You asked her for a donation.
You're crazy. That wasn't me. I don't even know that.
You done Mrs. Keyes, and she agreed to contribute. She offered $50. You talked her up to $150. She asked you where to send the money, and you said, never mind, you'd be out to collect it. 45 minutes later, you were out there. You parked your car by a candy store down the street from the Keyes home. You walked up the block to the Keyes place, collected the money, and you left.
Now, you prove it was me. You prove
We got it cold, Seidel. Mrs. Keyes' husband got suspicious about the setup. 45 minutes after you phoned, you were at the front door with your hand out. You had no credentials, nothing. He noticed you parked your car down the street instead of in front of the house. You got the license number of your car when you pulled away. So the owner of the candy store. You parked your car just outside his place. All 3 of them can describe you and your car. Mr. Keyes, Mrs. Keyes, the man at the candy store.
Yeah, they're right.
Getting over to you, Ray?
Gonna take more than a couple of people to build a case.
All right, we got more. You gave Mrs. Keyes a signed receipt for the $150. You signed it Tom Seidel. Our handwriting man checked the signature with a specimen of your handwriting we got from your package. Now, they both checked, not a doubt in the world. What do you say?
I don't know. What would you say?
It's your jam. What's the story?
There isn't any. Why should I dig my grave?
Any way you want it. You're going to stay on the load for the last 2 months, including the one you pulled last night. It makes 14 cases.
It's a lie. It's a lousy lie.
Cigarette, Ray?
What are you trying to do to me anyway? 14 jobs. I never hustled that hard in my life.
That's how many we've had in the last couple of months.
Why load them on me?
Every one of them follow the same general M.O. Same way you worked it last night. We don't know where you got your list of names, but you contact people who are interested in different charities. You pose as an authorized solicitor. You get their money, and then you take off. The last 2 months, you've been collecting for more than 10 different drives. European orphans, a milk fund, summer camp for underprivileged kids, crippled children's fund. The people give their money in good faith, and you take off with it.
Look,
your M.O. follows all the way through. It's a sour racket, Ray. We're going to lean hard on you.
I said, will you wait a minute? No, when I'm done, I'll give you the story.
Yeah?
I'm not taking the whole load on my back. I'll cop out to the one last night, but that's all.
You look good for all of them.
Look, will you give me a chance? The one last night was a first try for me. It's the only one I ever tried. I'm squaring with you. I was crazy even to make a pass at it. I should have known better. I'm not a bunk man.
We already told you, Ray. Last night's a close match with the other jobs. You say you'll cop out to one. How do we account for the other 13?
Just among us. Whatever I say, I don't want credit for.
All right. What's the pitch?
Can I have that cigarette now?
Yeah. There you are.
Yeah, thanks.
Here's a match.
Thanks. I got out into the thing Sunday night. Doing a little drinking at this place on Boyle Avenue. There were a couple of guys at the bar who were talking about it. I didn't know them.
Talking about what?
The racket. getting a list of marks and collecting charity money from them. These two guys weren't working it. They just heard it was going on. They were yakking to the bartender about it. They figured some out-of-town grifters were doing it.
And you figured you'd get in on the bandwagon, is that it?
Well, I thought I'd try a couple of jobs, that's all. Need a few bucks to tide me over. Didn't look like much of a risk.
How do you mean?
Well, I heard about the M.O. the grifters were using. Pretty simple to copy. I followed it through just the way I heard they did it. They had a half dozen jobs under their belt already. If you knocked them over and they had to stand the rap, a couple of jobs of mine wouldn't make any difference.
Free ride, is that what you figured on?
Well, what's the difference? I didn't get it. Figured you'd catch up with them and they'd take the rap for my jobs along with their own. It's just my luck. You get me instead, and now I'm up to stand the rap for everything.
Well, it's a pretty fair story, Ray. Any way of proving it?
Sure, easy. These grifters started working here 2 months ago, didn't they? They hit pretty hard the first week or so, didn't they?
Yeah.
Well, I wasn't even in town then. Wasn't here the whole month. I was up in Monterey.
Any way of proving that?
Sure, ask the sheriff up there.
Huh?
Ask the sheriff. He'll tell you.
Why should he know anything about it?
He ought to. He had me in jail a whole month.
3:40 p.m. While Bill continued questioning the suspect, Raymond Seidel, I went down the hall to the squad room and put in a call to the Monterey County Sheriff's Office. They confirmed Seidel's story. He'd been arrested in the town of Monterey December 13th, approximately 2 months before, on charges of vagrancy and suspicion of robbery. He was confined in the county jail there from December 13th to January 15th, the same period of time during which the unidentified bunco men had started their campaign of falsely soliciting funds for various charities. While the information cleared Seidel of any part in the bunco charity operations throughout the city that month, he still had to answer for his actions the night before, soliciting contributions falsely from the couple out in East Hollywood, Mr. and Mrs. Keys. After his statement was taken, Bill Lockwood and I drove Seidel to the main jail, where we booked him in on suspicion of 48 PC petty theft. Further investigation the next day and a half seemed to indicate that the last story we got from Seidel was pretty close to the facts. It was the case of a small-time thief imitating the apparently successful formula of a veteran team of bunco artists, an imitation which in the criminal world is far from unusual. A week passed. Despite the broadcasts, the bulletins, and the special notices we'd gotten out on the suspects and their operations, there were 3 more cases reported. One of them came from a Mrs. Teresa Guilfoyle, the woman in charge of the crippled children's home. Bill and I drove out to talk to her.
This is the first thing I want to show you, officers.
What's that mean?
This way, please.
Go ahead, Bill. Yes, ma'am?
Come here, sweetheart. There are 2 gentlemen here I'd like to have you meet. Stephen, this is Sergeant Friday, and this is Officer Lockwood, their policeman. This is Stephen, officers. He's 3 years old.
Well, how are you, Stephen?
Hello, son.
He'd like to say hello, officers, but he can't. His legs aren't his only trouble. He can't hear. He can't talk either.
Oh, it's too bad.
You're learning, though, aren't you, sweetheart? You bet you are. A little while with us, and you'll be talking a blue streak. All right, honey. You run along and play now. Real sweetheart, isn't he? I wanted you to meet him so you could see what this means to us. When I look at children like that, this whole mess just makes my blood boil.
Yes, ma'am. We see what you mean.
It's hard enough getting people to contribute money to keep this place open, help those poor kids to walk and talk. Thieves have to make it even harder. The way things are, I can't see how we're going to get through the year.
Oh, how much do you estimate it's cost you, Mr. Guilfoyle? I mean, how much in donations have these phony solicitors taken?
Well, I know of at least $700 they've collected from different people. Lord knows how much more money they got that was supposed to go to the home. I suppose a lot of people still think they gave their money to the right person.
Well, did you receive the notice we sent out about 6 weeks ago, ma'am, about how these thieves operated?
Yes, I did. I made a special note of it. When we sent out our annual appeal letter to our regular donors, most of your notice was incorporated right in it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what happened. I guess they didn't pay any attention to it.
When did you first find out something was wrong, ma'am?
It was yesterday morning. One of our regular donors, Mr. Baxter, called me. He wanted to know if we received his contribution all right. He wondered because he didn't receive his regular thank you note. That's when he told me about this man who came to his house and collected the money.
I see.
As soon as I heard that, 2 of the other girls and myself got on the phone and called every one of the regular donors. There were 10 of them, just like Mr. Baxter. Gave their good money to help these tots, and we never received a penny of it. I've got all their names and addresses here if you'd like them.
Yes, ma'am.
You're welcome to them if you want them.
Yes, that'll be fine. We'd like to check with each one of them. Now, this is the complete list, all the regular donors who contributed and their money wasn't received. Is that right?
Well, yes, sir, all those we know of. There's probably a lot more, I suppose. You've been in police work for a few years, haven't you, Sergeant? You must have met all kinds.
Yes, ma'am, I suppose so.
What kind would you say these men are? I mean, going around and stealing the little regular income we have from donations. What kind of persons can they be?
Well, there's thousands of them, Miss Guilfoyle. They walk every city in the world. They want money. They want everything that goes with it. They'll do anything but work for it.
But the money these men are stealing, they must know it's for these crippled children to help them walk again, help them talk, little kids like Stephen.
Yes, ma'am.
And these men call themselves human beings. And they take help away from a child like that. Humans. I couldn't be more ashamed of them. Ashamed to live in the same city with them.
Yes, ma'am.
You'd think God would punish them. You'd think God would come down and punish them right now.
Well, maybe he's even ashamed. Before we left, Mrs. Guilfoyle gave us a complete list of the names and addresses of donors who contributed annually to the upkeep of the crippled children's home. For the next couple of days, Bill and I contacted each one of them personally. Those people who'd already given their contributions to the thieves unknowingly were unable to help us. Their descriptions of the men who solicited money from them in the name of the crippled children's home generally duplicated the descriptions we'd gotten from the previous victims. None of them were very detailed, but they did seem to confirm our theory that there were 2 or more men involved in the bunco operation. Receipts for the money they'd given the thieves were signed either by a Fred Wellman or a Norman Archer. The handwriting varied in each case. Those donors on the list who had not yet been contacted were the best hope we had of reaching the suspects. Since the crippled children's home appealed for funds only through the mail, we advised these people to get in touch with us immediately if anyone contacted them by phone and asked for contributions. A few more days passed. Monday, February 27th. We got a call back from one of these donors, a Mr. George Stage of the Consolidated Pool Company out in the valley. We located him supervising work at the site of one of their pool constructions in the Toluca Lake area.
Oh, yeah, glad to see you again, Sergeant. Say, could you hold on just a minute? I want to test that batch of mud and see if the mixture's right. Won't take a minute.
Yes, sir. Go right ahead.
Andy, come here a minute, will you? How's that mixture look to you?
Sure a nice-looking pool, isn't it, Bill?
Big one. Sure be nice to have, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Why don't you look into it?
It's about all I could afford to do right now. Look into it.
Okay, Sergeant, 6-2 and even. Want to go over by the truck, do some of this racket so we can talk?
All right, that's fine.
I hope I got something for you. Not sure if it'll be worth anything to you.
You said on the phone you got a call last night.
Well, I didn't. My wife did. They wanted to talk to me, but I wasn't home yet. Out finishing a pool for some folks in Encino.
Uh-huh.
Have a seat there if you want. Clean off this running board for you.
Oh, that's all right. Fine.
Good.
Well, what was the gist of the phone call, Mr. Stage? Who was it?
Well, as I say, the wife answered. Fella told her his name was Mr. Archer. Said he was collecting for the crippled kids' home. Of course, the wife knew the setup. After you talked to me, I warned her about the phony collectors going around.
What'd she tell the man, sir?
Well, she didn't get a chance to tell him anything. He did most of the talking. Gave her a big spiel about how much the poor crippled kids needed help. The wife asked him if he'd leave a number so I could call him back when I got home.
Well, did he leave a number?
No. Gave some phony excuse he wouldn't be at the same phone, something like that.
No.
Went out to ask her if she couldn't make out a check. Said he could come right out to pick it up. The wife said no, she couldn't. Matter of fact, she couldn't. I've got the checkbook. Excuse me. Andy, get one of the boys to help you down the hole. You can't do that all by yourself. My partner, Andy's a great worker.
Yes, sir. Well, what was the upshot of the phone conversation between Archer and your wife, I mean?
Well, she kept asking for a phone number or an address, someplace where I could get back to him when I got home. I guess they got it figured, though. He wouldn't give her a thing.
And that's the way it ended, sir?
Yes, sir, that's it. Might be I'll have better luck, though.
How do you mean?
Well, this fella Archer told the wife he'd call me back tonight.
You are listening to Dragnet, authentic stories of your police force in action.
Because of its quality, its extra mildness, its better flavor and aroma, more smokers coast to coast are switching to king-size Fatimas every day.
Prove Fatima quality yourself.
Compare Fatima with any other king-size cigarette.
1. Fatima's length filters the smoke 85 millimeters for your protection.
2. Fatima's length cools the smoke for your protection.
3. Fatima's length gives you those extra puffs, 21% longer than standard cigarette size.
Fatima gives you more for your money.
And in king-size Fatima, you get an extra mild and soothing smoke, plus the added protection of Fatima quality.
Friends, in Fatima, the difference is quality. Fatima contains the finest tobaccos superbly blended. And Fatima is extra mild, with a much different, much better flavor and aroma. Remember, Fatima gives you more for your money. because it's king size, and because you get the added protection of Fatima quality. Look for the bright, sunny yellow pack. Switch to Fatima today.
Monday, February 27th, 1:30 p.m. As soon as we found out there was a possibility that one of the bunco suspects might contact the potential victim, George Stage, that night, Bill and I started making arrangements to be ready for him. At 6:45 p.m., we were at the Stage home when the suspect telephoned. He identified himself as Norman Archer. George Stage followed our instructions to the letter. He agreed to make a contribution and asked Archer to call at his home to pick up the check. He set the date for 9 o'clock that night to allow us enough time for preparations. We got in touch with Lieutenant Lee Jones at the crime lab, and he sent out 2 of his sound technicians with a microphone set up and a tape recorder. By 8 p.m., the installation was complete. The microphone concealed in the living room of the Stage home, and the tape recorder set up in an adjoining room. Bill and I were stationed at the recorder in the bedroom. 8:30, 8:45. We waited. 9 p.m., 9:05.
Somebody at the front door.
Yeah. You want to give me that headset, Bill?
Here you go.
Thank you. Okay. You want to turn on the recorder?
Right, Joe.
Stage? Yes, sir, that's right. My name's Norman Archer, Mr. Stage. I'm glad to know you. Oh, yeah, Archer. Glad to meet you. Come on in. Thank you. Very nice place you have here. Comfortable. We're pretty happy with it. Now, sit down, Archer. Thank you. Well, say, I hope I'm not interrupting your evening, Mr. Stage. Oh, no, that's all right. Just sitting here watching television. I see. Well, I'll only take up a moment of your time. I don't suppose I have to tell you what a worthy cause it is I represent, Crippled Children's Home. I'm glad to make a donation. It's one of my favorite charities. I'm certainly happy to hear that, sir. Really, you haven't any idea how much good your money does. Those little tots out at home really need our help, all the help we can give them. I suppose they do. Are you one of the officials out at the home? Well, yes, I suppose you could call it that. I'm one of the authorized collectors for the maintenance fund. I have a receipt here for your donation, all made out in your name. Here we are. I suppose you know that all donations to the home are deductible from your income tax. Yeah. Well, here we are. See, it's all filled out, your name and address. This space here I'll have vacant, the amount of your contribution. I'll fill it out right now. All right. How much would you like me to put you down for, sir? Well, I don't know. I don't have too much cash on hand. Will a check be all right? Well, actually, we don't like to be fussy, but it does help our bookwork. The donations are made in cash, still dates the handling of funds. Oh, well, I've only got $20 or $30 in cash. I'd like to give more than that. You sure a check wouldn't be all right? Well, as I say, it's simple if the donation is cash, but a check's all right. Check's fine. Okay. Make it out for you now. All I've got here is my company check. How's that? Company checks are all I have here. Consolidated Pool Company. I guess it'll work just as good. Be like a donation from the company. Oh, fine. Now, should I make that out now payable to the Crippled Children's Home? No, the home doesn't have a commercial banking account. It's not incorporated, you know. Oh, isn't it? I thought it was. No, I usually handle the check donations through my personal account. So if you could just make it out to me, we have to simplify bookwork. It takes a lot of work to run a home like that, and we can't afford a bookkeeper either. See. I'll make it out to, sorry, what's your first name again? Norman Archer. A-R-C-H-E-R. How much shall I put you down for? Well, let's see. I think I gave $200 last year. Yeah, I think that was it. Yes, we certainly appreciate it, too. Of course, it's like everything else. Our maintenance costs have gone up. We give those youngsters nothing but the best. I mean, if you could see your way clear to make it a little more this year, we'd certainly thank you for it. That goes for those crippled kids, too. Well, I guess I could make it a little more. We've had a pretty good year. Let's make it $250. That'd be fine. That's wonderful. Sure appreciate it, Mr. Stage. Really, if it wasn't for such a great cause, I'd be embarrassed asking you for money. No, not at all. Only glad I can afford it. Here you are. You better watch the ink. I think it's still wet. Thank you very much, sir. I guess I don't have to tell you again how much we appreciate it. Let's see. Where did I put my hat? It's right outside in the hallway. Oh, yes. There you are. Thank you. Well, I'll see that your check gets in the bank first thing in the morning. All right. Thanks for coming out. Pleasure, Mr. Stage. Thank you. You don't know how much this check means to us. I think I do. Good night.
You hear it all right? You hear what he said?
Yes, sir, we got it.
How rotten can you get, huh?
Yes, sir. Bill, do you want to take a look out the window?
Right.
Mr. Stage, will you leave that tape recorder right where it is? Don't let anyone touch it. We'll be back.
Yeah, all right.
He's pulling out, Joe. Heading down the street. Grace it in.
All right, let's go. We'll call you, Mr. Stage.
Yeah, okay.
You see him, Bill?
Got Down past the next block.
All right, let's hurry. Go ahead, slide on my side here. Now, let's keep the lights off for a couple of blocks. Don't get them excited.
All right.
Can you see him? The one turning left, gray sedan. Is that him?
Let's see. Yeah, that's it.
All right. Pull up close if you can, huh? See if we can make his license.
Give it a try. How's that?
A little closer. Okay, that's fine. 1 sugar 16605.
All right.
I'll check it and see if it's hot. 1K80 to control 1. 1K80 to control 1.
Control 1 to 1K80. All other cars on frequency 6 stand by.
1K80 to control 1. Request rolling make for stolen and DMV on 1 sugar 16605. Repeat, 1S16605. KMA 367.
Control 1 to 1K80. 1 sugar 16605. Stand by.
I should have gotten a good look at him, Bill. Might have recognized him, huh?
I couldn't take a chance. Anyway, it's worth more if we get him and his partner together. Wrap it all up in one. Save us a lot of headaches.
Yeah, well, don't lose him. He turned left up the next corner.
Yeah, I saw him. He hasn't made it.
Yeah, I think we're in the clear. All right, you can turn your lights on, huh?
All right.
Control 1 to 1K80. Control 1 to 1K80. 1 sugar 16605. No want. Car is a 1950 Pontiac, 2-door sedan. Registered to Charles A. Sutton, 5840 Octavia Street, Los Angeles. Motor number 1 Adam 6 Paul 3342. Legal the same. KMA 367.
1K80 to control 1. Would you check records for Charles A. Sutton? Age and description unknown. Rush request. We have suspect under rolling surveillance.
Control 1 to 1K80. Roger.
Looks like he's slowing down, Joe. Yeah.
All right, don't press him. Yeah, he's pulling up. He stopped there.
Better cut the lights.
Yeah, pull up right here, huh?
Can you see him?
Yeah. Going up to that house. Porch light on.
Yeah. Must be where he keeps his pad. Acts like he's been there before.
There's a man answering the door. He's going in.
Control 1 to 1K80. Come in.
1K80 to control 1. Go ahead.
Control 1 to 1K80. We have a Charles A. Sutton, WMA, 42 years, 5'9", 163 pounds, brown hair, blue eyes. He has a long felony record, suspicion of robbery, suspicion of burglary, grand theft, bunco. Also 3 outstanding traffic warrants. License number 1 sugar 16605.
1K80 to control 1. Roger. KMA 367.
What do you think?
Let's take him.
Right.
All right, you want to take the back, Bill? I'll go in the front.
Okay, give me a second to get around.
Right.
Yeah?
Police officer, want to talk to you. All right, come on, open it up. Cops, hurry, the cops! All right, hold it right there, against the wall.
All right, you back inside, police officers. Joe, all right?
Yeah, did you get him all right?
It's okay. Come on up front, you.
What are you trying to do? What's this all about?
We'll talk downtown. You know what it's all about.
All right, over next to your partner.
What are you doing anyway? You haven't got anything on us.
You want to get the cuffs on him, Bill?
Stand still, both of you.
Here's mine.
What's the pitch here anyway? Harry and I haven't done anything.
Yeah.
Busting in here like this, private house, you got no business here.
$250 says you're wrong.
What?
This check in your right-hand pocket. All right, come on, let's go.
The story you have just heard was true. The names were changed to protect the innocent.
On May 28th, trial was held in Superior Court, Department 88, City and County of Los Angeles, State of California. In a moment, the results of that trial.
Now, here is our star, Jack Webb.
Thank you, George Fenneman. Friends, this coming weekend, I'd like to suggest that you put Fatimas at the top of your shopping list. You'll find it's mighty convenient to have enough Fatimas around the house to last into the next week. When you shop, just look for the bright, sunny yellow carton. You'll find Fatima gives you an extra mild and soothing smoke. And remember, Fatima gives you more for your money because it's king size and because you get the added protection of Fatima quality. Get a carton tomorrow. Fatima.
Charles A. Sutton and his accomplice, Harold B. Mather, were tried and convicted on 3 counts of grand theft money and received sentences as prescribed by law. Grand theft is punishable by imprisonment in the state penitentiary for not less than 1 nor more than 10 years. The initial suspect, Seidel, pled guilty to petty theft and received a sentence of 1 year. You have just heard Dragnet, a series of authentic cases from official files. Technical advice comes from the Office of Chief of Police W.H. Parker, Los Angeles Police Department. Technical advisors Captain Jack Donahoe, Sergeant Marty Wynn, Sergeant Vance Brasher. Heard tonight were Ken Peters, Virginia Gregg, Vic Rodman. Script by Jim Moser. Music by Walter Schumann. Hal Gibney speaking.
King Size Fatima, made by the same people who make popular Chesterfield cigarettes, has brought you Dragnet, transcribed from Los Angeles.
Each Thursday night, it's Counter Spy on NBC.
The story you are about to hear is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent.
Fatima Cigarettes, king size, extra mild and soothing, brings you Dragnet on both radio and television.
You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned to homicide detail. An unidentified man is abducted from a downtown street. The scene is checked where the man was reported taken. Bloodstains are found on the sidewalk. The abductors escaped in a gray sedan. No one saw the license number. Your job? Get him. Compare Fatima with any other king-size cigarette.
Yes, compare Fatima with any other king-size cigarette.
1. Fatima's length filters the smoke 85 millimeters for your protection.
2. Fatima's length cools the smoke for your protection.
3. Fatima's length gives you those extra puffs, 21% longer than standard cigarette size.
Fatima gives you more for your money.
And in king-size Fatima, you get an extra mild and soothing smoke, plus the added protection of Fatima quality. Buy Fatima in the bright, sunny yellow pack.
Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case transcribed from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Monday, March 18th. It was overcast in Los Angeles. We were working the night watch out of homicide detail. My partner's Frank Smith. The boss is Captain Warman. My name's Friday. It was 6:48 p.m. when we got to the corner of 11th and South Pierce Street, the 797 Club.
Sorry, no more service tonight. Closing up.
Your name, Leon Morley?
Yeah, I can't serve you any drinks, so closing up.
Police officers, Mr. Morley. I'd like to talk to you a minute, if you don't mind.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought maybe you were after a drink.
We were just talking to the officers in the radio car up the street, the car that answered the call out here tonight. They told us you were one of the people who saw what happened.
Well, yeah, I guess I did. I saw part of it anyway. Lousy deal kind of thing, makes your ulcers pop. That's why I'm closing down early, going home.
We're following through in the investigation, Mr. Morley. I'd like to have you tell us everything you know about it, if you would, everything that you saw.
I told the cops in the radio car everything I know. It was about 6 o'clock, and I heard this big commotion out in the street. I didn't know what it was. Sounded like somebody was hurt. I went out and took a look. Marie in the beauty shop next door, she was outside rubbernecking, too. She saw as much as I did. You talked to her?
Yes, sir, we have. She wasn't too clear on some of the details. Maybe you can straighten it out for us.
I'm glad to if I can. What do you want to know?
You mind telling us in your own words just exactly how it happened? I mean, how you saw it?
Well, there's not an awful lot to it. I was working behind the bar here, and it was around 6 o'clock, like I say, maybe a couple of minutes after. I was just fixing up a round of drinks for some fellas when I heard this noise outside.
Yeah.
Didn't know what it was at first. It sounded like somebody screaming, like they were hurt.
You said you heard this commotion outside the bar about 6 o'clock.
Yeah, that's right. Well, I didn't go out right then. I finished mixing the round of drinks. First, I thought the racket was just a couple of early drunks, but it kept on. Man screaming. It got louder, and I decided to take a look.
Mm-hmm.
I went out and looked down the street a couple of doors, down toward the corner.
Which corner is that, Mr. Morley?
The nearest one, down to the left. Here, I'll show you.
All right, fine.
I didn't know what was happening. It was a terrible sound. Man screaming at the top of his lungs.
You recognize who the man was?
No, I didn't. Never saw him before. Didn't get too good a look at him anyway. It was getting kind of dark. Here, let me show you. Over here by the window.
Fine.
I see it was right down there, just next to that mailbox.
Mm-hmm.
These two guys had hold of the man who was screaming. They were trying to drag him into a car, a gray sedan. The man was trying to fight him off.
Can you describe any of these three men for us?
No, I couldn't be sure about it. Like I say, it was getting kind of dark.
Well, you can see for yourself they were about 75 or 100 feet away. Mm-hmm. This man they were trying to drag into the car, he kept screaming, leave me alone, you can have the money. Leave me alone, you can have my car. Looked like he was hurt to me, blood on his clothes.
Didn't anybody try to help him?
Well, you know how this neighborhood is. When there's trouble, they all cut out. They don't want to get involved. It happened pretty fast anyway. These two guys got this man in the back seat of the car, and the big guy got in the back seat with him. The smaller guy got in the front seat, and they took off.
Now, which way did they go, Mr. Morley?
Straight down the street there. They turned right at that corner.
Mm-hmm. Did you happen to see the license number?
No, I thought of it, though. They didn't turn the car lights on and went by pretty fast, too. I couldn't get a good look at it.
Was it a California plate, do you know?
Oh, yeah, I noticed that much. That's about all, though.
What kind of a car was it?
Like I told you, a gray sedan, 4-door. I couldn't tell the make. Fairly new car.
Well, did you notice anything outstanding about the car? Anything at all?
Well, I don't know. What do you mean outstanding?
Well, special markings of any kind. Anything unusual. Maybe some of the accessories. Spotlight? Anything like that?
No, nothing I noticed. The rear bumper was bent out, I think. Matter of fact, I'm pretty sure of it.
Rear bumper?
Yeah. I saw it when they drove off. They drove right past the place here.
Well, how about the men, sir? Can you describe them at all?
No. One was pretty tall and thin. The other one was smaller. About the same build on the thin side. They sure must have worked that guy over. He was all bent over. Looked like he was holding his stomach. Stains all down the front of his suit. On the sidewalk, too. I guess you saw that.
Yes, sir, we did. Now, you're sure that you've never seen any of these men before? Nothing familiar about them at all?
No, sir, not to me. I think if I saw him before, I'd know it. Oh, just a minute. It's probably the wife. Excuse me. I'll be right back.
Yeah, sure. What do you think, Joe?
Well, it doesn't look too good. Stains on the sidewalk down there. If it was just a robbery, why'd they take the guy with them?
Got me. Possibly might have recognized him.
Well, maybe you got some, but I hope you're wrong. If he can make the hoods, a good chance they're not going to turn the man loose alive.
Sergeant.
Yeah.
It's your office on the phone. I want to talk to either one of you.
Oh, I'll get it, Joe.
Right, thanks, Frank.
Phone straight back, Sergeant. Enter the bar.
Yeah, okay, thanks.
Look, Sergeant, I got to have something to quiet my nerves. How about you? You want a drink?
No, thanks. Besides the woman in that beauty shop next door, Mr. Morley, did you notice anyone else around who saw what went on?
No, as far as I know, Marie and I were the only ones. Just like I told you, when there's any trouble around this neighborhood, they get off the street quick.
You can't think of anything else that might give us a break on this? Anything at all now?
Wish I could. I think I told you just about everything. Sure feel lousy.
Joe.
Yeah.
I was talking to Harry.
Yeah?
1A1 found the car, a gray sedan.
Where'd they find it?
3rd and Bixel. It was empty. Key's still in it.
You sure it's the right car?
Bloodstains in the back seat.
7:18 p.m. Frank and I left the 797 Club, got in the car, and drove down to 3rd and Bixel, where the abandoned gray sedan had been located. It matched the same general description of the abductor's car, a 4-door gray sedan, late model, with a damaged rear bumper. Dean Bergman from Leighton Prince dusted the car and succeeded in raising a half a dozen fingerprints, which he took back to the office for possible identification. The crime lab crew went over the car for additional physical evidence. The stains found on the back seat were identified as having been made by human blood. The white slip attached to the steering post showed the car was registered to a Kenneth L. Gorman at a Canal Street address. Before Frank and I left the scene, we got a report that approximately 20 minutes prior to the time the gray sedan had been located, another car had been stolen. It was a maroon, late model Club Coupe, license 7-Tom 7972. It had been taken in the same neighborhood, less than 2 blocks from where the gray sedan was abandoned. A broadcast and an APB was gotten out on it immediately. 8:05 p.m. After checking by the office, Frank and I drove down to check on the home address of the registered owner of the gray sedan, Kenneth L. Gorman. It was a white wood-frame cottage at the upper end of Canal Street. The woman who answered the door identified herself as Mrs. Elsie Gorman, a small middle-aged woman, blue eyes, partially graying hair.
No, I'm sorry, officers. My husband isn't home right now.
Where is he, Mrs. Gorman? Do you know?
Well, he went downtown to see a friend of his, business appointment. Is it anything I can help you with?
Are you expecting your husband home pretty soon, ma'am?
Yes, I am. Matter of fact, he should have been home long before this. I don't know what's keeping him. Told me he was going downtown to collect some money a friend of his owed him. Said he'd be right back. I don't know what could be keeping him.
When do you leave the house, ma'am?
About 2:30, 3 o'clock this afternoon. It's almost 8:30 now. It could be he stopped to have a beer with his friend. He usually phones, though, if he's going to be late. I don't understand these men sometimes.
You and your husband own a car, Mrs. Gorman?
Yes, we do. My husband has it right now. Why?
What kind of a car is it, ma'am?
A 49 Chevy sedan.
Gray color, 4-door?
Yes.
License number 7T7972?
Well, yes, I think that's it. Why? What's the matter? Something happened?
Nothing to get worried about, Mrs. Gorman. We located the car in the downtown area, parked on a side street. The keys were still in it. Thought we'd check on it.
Where was it parked?
Near 3rd and Bixel.
Well, that can't be right. This man my husband was going to see has his store on Alameda. It's on Alameda between 9th and 10th. No reason for Kenneth to drive the car way down on 3rd Street.
Possible he might have had another business appointment down there, ma'am. Maybe something he didn't mention to you.
Well, I don't know. I suppose it is possible. You'd think he'd call, though. He usually does when he's going to be out late like this.
What about this man your husband was going to see, Miss Gorman? You happen to know who he is?
Yes, Fred Bernard. He's in the sheet metal business, has his shop on South Alameda. He owed my husband $300. My husband went down this afternoon to collect it.
He a friend of your husband's, is he?
Oh, yes, they're good friends. Fred and my husband have done business for years.
There wasn't any ill feeling between them about this debt.
No, of course not. It was just a bill for some materials. Why do you ask that?
Just routine questions, ma'am. Can you think of anyone at all who might have a quarrel with your husband? Somebody who has a grudge against him, maybe?
No. Why are you asking questions like that? Is there something wrong? Something you're not telling me about?
No, ma'am. It's just a routine check, Miss Gorman. Nothing to worry about. I want to make sure everything's all right, that's all.
The way you talk, it isn't all right. It's far from right. Ken, it's never gone this long without calling me. There must be something wrong.
No use getting yourself all worked up, ma'am. You admit your husband might have had another appointment after he left Bernard.
By the way, have you checked with Mr. Bernard yet, ma'am?
No, to tell you the truth, I haven't. I don't usually like to call my husband when he's out on business. I don't like to bother him. This is different, though. I think I'll call Fred Bernard right now.
It's a good idea. Do you mind if we wait, ma'am?
No, not at all. It'll only take me a minute. Excuse me.
Yes, ma'am.
What do you think?
I don't know. Doesn't look too good, does it?
Car's abandoned, stains in the back seat. Man's late in getting home. It's all there.
Could be anything, couldn't it?
Doesn't look good.
Sergeant?
Yes, ma'am.
I just talked to Fred Bernard. He said my husband's been there and left.
What time did you leave Bernard's?
About 3:15, 3:30. Fred Bernard paid my husband the $300 he owed him, and my husband left. Fred told me my husband asked him if he wouldn't have a glass of beer with him, but Fred said no, he was busy. So my husband said all right, he was going to have a beer at home. Told Fred he was going right home. That was at 3:15 this afternoon.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, there must be something wrong, I know it. It just isn't like my husband. He wouldn't leave the car like that. If he was late, at least he'd call me. Oh, would you excuse me again? I've had the dinner on the stove. Boiled away to nothing. I want to turn it off.
Yes, ma'am. Go right ahead. I hope it works out all right. Seems like a nice woman.
Yes, she does.
Sure doesn't figure, does it? He's had plenty of time to get home. No reason why he shouldn't be here by this time.
Well, I can think of two.
Yeah?
An empty car and $300. We continued interviewing the wife of the missing man, Kenneth Gorman, and she told us that occasionally he did some drinking at neighborhood bars. She also told us that when her husband drank quite a bit in public places, he was over-friendly and he liked to brag and flash money. Mrs. Gorman got on the phone, contacted all their friends and relatives who happened to be home, but none of them had seen or heard from Mr. Gorman that day. Before Frank and I left, Mrs. Gorman gave us a complete description of her husband, the clothing he was wearing, and also a recent photograph of him. We called Fred Bernard, the friend of the missing man, the last known person to see him, and told him that we'd like to talk to him. He told us that he was working late, getting out a rush order, and that we could find him in his shop. 9:05 p.m. We located Bernard at his shop on South Alameda.
Won't take long, will it? An awful rush tonight.
Won't take long, sir. Did Mr. Gorman give you any idea where he was going when he left here this afternoon?
No, just like I told his wife on the phone. I paid him the money I owed him. He asked me if I wanted a beer, took a rain check on it, and he left. Went right out that door there.
You seem worried about anything, Mr. Gorman?
No, not that I could see. Seemed all right to me.
Had he been drinking, do you know?
No, couldn't say. If he was, I couldn't smell it on him.
Is there anything unusual about him at all? Anything out of the ordinary?
No, same old Ken. Pretty good mood when I paid him. $300 cash. He's all dressed up. I guess you might call that unusual.
How do you mean unusual?
Well, Ken's like me. Working man, not much of a dresser. Usually find him in working clothes. I think it's the second time I ever saw him in a suit. A new one, too. Looked nice on him.
He didn't give you any indication at all where he might be going, did he?
No, he just collected his money and went out. I thought maybe he was going home. What did Miss Gorman tell you? Didn't you have any idea where he is?
No, sir. She told us he came down here to collect some money. She expected him right home. We're not trying to be nosy, Mr. Bernard, but how do Gorman and his wife get along? They pretty happy together?
Yes, I guess you might say that. Get along as well as you could expect them to.
What do you mean by that?
Nothing. Ken's he's a fellow who likes his nightlife. Wife's just the opposite, quiet type. Almost left him once. Guess they're getting along pretty good now, though.
Why'd she almost leave him? Would you happen to know?
Well, she found him out with a girlfriend. Matter of fact, she caught him at a terrible row. Didn't understand any of it. The girlfriend wasn't much at all, real lush.
You know the girl's name?
Yeah, I met her twice. Name's Elaine something. She works at a cafe 3 blocks from here. Real lush. She sure took it.
You know if Gorman's been seeing her lately?
Well, he says he hasn't been. I don't know. I never can tell when he's drinking, though. Didn't his wife mention the girl at all? No, I guess she wouldn't. It's been a terrible thing for her when she found out. Terrible.
How long ago was all this, Mr. Bernard? I mean, this affair Gorman had with this girl.
Oh, 6 weeks, maybe 2 months ago, just about that. I tell you, it was the queerest thing I ever saw. Ken has a nice, quiet wife of his at home, and they get along fine together, never fought, never quarreled. And he picks up with his girl Elaine, sure different.
How's that?
A real mean girl. Two of them fought all the time.
9:40 p.m. We left Fred Bernard at his shop, drove to the restaurant where Gorman's girlfriend reportedly was working as a waitress, and we checked with the manager. He told us a girl by the name of Elaine Summerall had been employed there, but that she'd been fired for drinking on the job. He also told us that he had reason to suspect that Elaine Summerall was not the girl's true name. We showed the cafe manager a picture of Mr. Gorman, and he identified it. He said Gorman had been in that afternoon inquiring about the Summerall girl. Gorman had asked for the girl's forwarding address, but the manager told us that he'd thrown it away. We left our card with him and asked him to contact us immediately in the event the girl returned. 10:18 p.m. We drove back to the city hall and checked in at the office. We ran the name and description of the Summerall girl through R&I, and they told us they had a Summerall girl in the files who answered the description. Elaine Summerall, alias Elaine O'Donnell, alias Elaine Shellman. There were wants out on her for forgery, 3 counts, and grand theft merchandise. We signed out of the office, went across the street to the Federal Cafe, and had a sandwich and a cup of coffee.
Wouldn't look so rough if it wasn't for the stains they found in the backseat of that car.
It's hard to get around. It points to more than robbery, doesn't it?
M.O. sure strikes me pretty funny, pulling the man off the street like that.
Must be either hard up or crazy, huh?
Federal Cafe. Just a minute. Friday?
Yeah.
Phone.
Right, thank you. I'll be right back, Frank.
Okay.
Yeah, Friday talking. Yeah, go ahead. Where? How long ago? Yeah, I see, huh? There wasn't, huh? Yeah, we'll roll on it right now. Tell them we're on our way in, will you? Yeah, right. Thanks, Glenn. Bye.
Yeah?
Chandler. They just found the maroon coupe, the one stolen in the neighborhood where Gorman's was dropped.
Where'd they find it?
Picked it off going up through Lancaster, sheriff's deputies.
Does it look good on our job?
Well, there were 2 men in the car. One of them had a knife, bloodstains on their clothes all over the inside of the car.
How's it figure?
It doesn't. Not a scratch on either one of them.
You are listening to Dragnet, authentic stories of your police force in action.
Friends, because of its quality, its extra mildness, its better flavor and aroma, more smokers coast to coast are switching to king-size Fatimas every day. Yes, more smokers coast to coast are finding that in Fatima, the difference is quality. Now, here's the practical way to prove Fatima quality yourself.
Compare Fatima with any other king-size cigarette.
1. Fatima's length filters the smoke 85 millimeters for your protection.
2. Fatima's length cools the smoke for your protection.
3. Fatima's length gives you those extra puffs, 21% longer than standard cigarette size.
Fatima gives you more for your money.
And in king-size Fatima, you get an extra mild and soothing smoke, plus the added protection of Fatima quality.
Remember, more and more of your friends are switching to king-size Fatimas.
Compare them yourself. King-size Fatima, extra mild and soothing, plus the added protection of Fatima quality. Look for the bright, sunny yellow pack. Buy king-size Fatima.
Monday, March 18th, 10:40 p.m. After we received the report that the stolen maroon coupe, along with the 2 suspects, had been recovered north of the city in the town of Lancaster, Frank and I stopped by the record bureau and checked to see if there was a make on either one of the suspects. The first one, Paul Mike, white male American, 32 years, 5'11", 150 pounds, brown hair, brown eyes. He had a long felony record, including burglary and robbery. He'd served sentences in both San Quentin and Folsom, and there was a warrant on him for violation of parole. The second suspect, Floyd Compton, white male American, 34 years, 5'8", 135 pounds, black hair, brown eyes. His record included arrests on suspicion of burglary, 4 grand theft merchandise, and 3 drunk arrests. He was a petty thief known to us as a shoplifter. He'd never served time in a penitentiary. 10:55 p.m. Frank and I, with identifying photographs of the 2 suspects, left the city and drove north. We checked in at the Lancaster Sheriff's Office substation. Captain Walker Hannon briefed us on the details of the arrest, and then he showed us back to the cell block where the two suspects were being held. He told us neither of the men had been questioned because the officers there weren't acquainted with the facts of the case. He also informed us both men had been separated from the time of their apprehension. Captain Hannon had Paul Mike taken from his cell, and he was brought to the captain's office where we started to question him. It went slow.
I don't think I understand you, Sergeant. What's all the excitement about?
You can answer that better than we can, Mike.
Answer what? What do you want to know?
The car, Mike, the blood stains.
What about them?
A little unusual, wouldn't you say?
I don't know anything about any blood stains. If they're in the car, I don't know how they got there. It isn't my car.
Yeah, we know that. What about the stains in your clothes?
Well, I don't know. We were sitting in the car there. Maybe the stains rubbed off on us. You got a cigarette?
Only one thing wrong with that story, Mike. The stains were on the wrong side of you.
All right, so I had a fight. Got hit in the nose. What's that, a law against it?
I got a hunch, Mike.
Yeah?
You're lying. Where'd you get that car?
I told you where I got it. Me and Compton were bumming a ride on San Fernando Road. This spook came along in the maroon coupe and gave us a ride. A couple of miles this side of Lancaster, he stopped the car and got out. Said he'd be right back. Walked right out into the desert.
That right?
Yeah. Waited for him to come back. Waited a long time. Honked the horn, yelled for him. We finally gave it up. Matter of fact, Compton and me got a little scared. Thought maybe the car was stolen. I didn't want to get caught in a hot car. I'm an ex-con. I couldn't stand the heat. The truth, I'm squaring with you.
What about the money, Mike?
Huh?
The money. They booked you in with $133 in your pocket.
Oh, yeah. I got lucky in a crap game last night. I was pulling out.
How about the pocket knife? Blood stains on it? You win that in the crap game, too?
No, matter of fact, it was in the car. Found it right there on the seat.
Big coincidence, Mike. Somebody leaves you a car, blood stains on the inside, stains on you and your partner. Pocket knife, stains on that, too. You're on parole, leaving town without notice, driving a car you're not supposed to be driving, pocket full of money you got no way of accounting for. Face it, Mike.
What do you mean?
Face it, you're dead. Flag on your card now. Parole officer wants you. Now, how about the truth?
What do you mean the truth? I've told it to
All right,
you.
now, come on. Let's save time for all of us, Mike. You've been around long enough. You've graduated. You know we're not going to buy that line.
What line? How can I explain things to you? You won't believe me. I told you nothing but the truth since I walked into this room, and you won't believe me. You got a cigarette?
How do you account for the blood in your shirt?
I told you I had a fight. Guy hit me in the nose. Happened right down there in L.A. You can check it.
Where did it happen?
Bar, downtown.
There's a lot of bars downtown.
Place on South Pierce. I go there sometimes.
What's the name of it?
797 Club. Ask anybody in there.
You said it happened tonight?
Yeah, about 8 o'clock. Just before we cut out. Guy hit me right on the nose. Real rough one. You got a cigarette?
What time did you say you had that fight?
About 8 o'clock.
You sure of that?
Sure, why?
You're not doing too well, Mike.
Now what's the matter?
We were at the 797 Club tonight. We talked to the owner.
So what?
We were there at 6:35. He locked the place up and went home at 6:45. He was sick.
797 Club?
Yeah, that's right. Now, where were you at the time of the robbery?
I want an attorney. I'm not saying anything else, trying to frame me. Take me back to my cell.
Any way you want it, Mike. Let's go.
What's the use? Tell them the truth and they don't believe you. How about that cigarette?
Captain, would you have the jailer return this one and bring in Compton? How about that? He couldn't tell the truth if it helped him. Hope we do better with his partner.
Well, we're going to have to. We know we're on the right track. The big question is, what have they done with Gorman?
Big guess. 1,000 places they could have dumped him between here and L.A.
Well, I hate to make book on his chances. Everything points to a killing, doesn't it?
Mike looks like the one who could handle it.
Come on in, Tom. Over here. Sit down.
Yeah.
My name's Friday. This is Smith, my partner.
Hi.
Branched out of your class, haven't you, Compton? Running in the big time here?
What do you mean? We haven't done anything.
Robbery, kidnapping, grand theft auto. You're moving pretty fast.
Didn't Mike tell you? This guy gave us a ride. He stopped the car and walked away. We didn't steal the car. Thought the guy was lost. We drove in here to get help.
Let's take it from the top. Where'd you spend the day? Who were you with?
Mike. He stayed overnight with me. Both slept till about 2 o'clock, got something to eat, and went to his show. Got out about 5.
What'd you do then?
Went to this bar downtown. Didn't Mike tell you?
You were with him, weren't you?
Sure, I was with him. He'll tell you that.
He did. You didn't do anything wrong, did you?
No.
Then what are you worrying about? Let's forget Mike now. You level with us, will you?
You're getting it straight. I didn't do anything.
Mike says he can't stand another beef. Can't afford it. He's too up right now.
I know that.
Well, we believe him, Compton. Mike's done too much time. He couldn't make another trip easy. We think he's telling us the truth.
Well, so am I. What are you getting at anyway?
All right, now let's get on the bandwagon while you can. We don't need you, Compton. If you talk or not, it doesn't make any difference.
Just a minute. Can I talk to Mike?
All right, we'll give it a try. Frank, you want to ask him?
Yeah, okay. Be right back.
Now, let's pick up where we left off. The blood stains on your clothes, stains inside the car. Where'd they come from?
Mike told you, didn't he?
Yeah, you tell us.
What for? Why can't I wait till Mike gets here?
All right, what about the money? You want to explain about that?
Nothing to explain. I saved it.
What kind of work do you do?
Odd jobs around town, any place I can find them.
You say you got up at 2, you had something to eat, you went to a show, and you got out about 5 o'clock. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right.
When'd you go to the 797 Club?
Right after the show, about 5 o'clock.
How long did you stay there?
About an hour, till about 6 o'clock.
Anything unusual happen while you were in the bar?
What do you mean?
Anything unusual, anything out of the ordinary?
Oh, Mike and me sat there, talked, had some drinks. Pretty dead place. Decided to take off for Reno. Mike's got a friend up there, good friend. Thought maybe he'd get the both of us jobs.
Compton?
Yeah? Where's Mike?
I told him you wanted to talk to him. He said he didn't want to see you. They took him out to feed him. Told me to tell you he'd see you in court.
What do you mean, see me in court?
I think you got it, Compton. We told you we didn't need you. Come on, we're tired. We're going to lock you up.
What'd he say? What'd he tell you?
Now, look, fella, we're tired. You wanted to go the hard way. All right, you'll get the answers in court.
Well, what did he say? What'd he tell you?
Come on, let's go. You should have known better. Mike's not going to ride your beef for you.
He was in it all the way. It's his idea and it's his beef, not mine. I argued with him. I know he shouldn't have gone along. Crazy.
Yeah, come on.
It's the truth. The whole thing's Mike's. It's his knife, too. Met the guy in some bar, and he was real high, talking about some dame he was looking for, a girlfriend. Guy bought us a couple of drinks, had a big roll of bills. Mike framed the whole thing.
Yeah?
Yeah, he wanted to roll the guy. We left, got in the guy's car, and drove with him way toward town. Mike was driving. I didn't know where he was heading for. All of a sudden, the guy says he wants another drink. Mike didn't want to stop, but he was making a racket. Finally pulled up by the 797 Club. We got out. Then the guy changes his mind. He wants to go home. Mike tried to talk to him, but he wouldn't listen. Mike pulled a knife and cut him. Then he slugged the guy, and the two of us pushed him in the car and took off.
Where'd you go from there?
We cruised around till we found another car, maroon coupe. We clouded that one, dumped the gray sedan, and took off up this way.
Right.
Look, it's the truth. I'll even tell you about the guy. What happened to him? You got flashlights in your car?
The man's still alive?
I don't know. He was when we left him.
1:45 a.m. The Lancaster Sheriff Substation contacted the local emergency ambulance, and they were instructed to follow our car. Along with the suspect, Floyd Compton, Frank and I got in the car and headed south, following his directions. After several tries at locating the spot where Mike and Compton supposedly left their victim, we finally found where they'd parked their car on the side of the road. We got out, and Compton led us back across a stretch of sand to a thick clump of sagebrush about 300 yards off the highway. The victim, Kenneth Gorman, was lying face down. His hands and feet were tied together. It was fairly evident that he'd lost a good deal of blood and that he was in a state of severe shock. He was placed on a stretcher and placed in the ambulance.
All right, Compton, that's it. Let's go.
Be real tough. Sure glad he ain't dead.
Yeah, sure. Come on.
Where are we going now?
Back to the sheriff's office. Want to take your statement.
Okay with me. Just one thing I want. One more thing.
Yeah?
That lousy Mike. I want to be there. I want to see him.
How's that?
Trying to load this thing on me. I want to see his face when you tell him. Can't wait to see it.
Yeah, neither can we.
The story you have just heard was true. The names were changed to protect the innocent.
On July 12th, trial was held in Superior Court, Department 84, City and County of Los Angeles, State of California. In a moment, the results of that trial.
And now, here is our star, Jack Webb.
Thank you, George Fenneman. Friends, once again, I'd like to ask you to compare Fatima with the king-size cigarette you're now smoking. When you do, I'm convinced that you'll agree that king-size Fatimas do give you more for your money. An extra mild and soothing smoke, plus the added protection of Fatima quality. Remember, Fatima in the bright, sunny yellow pack. And remember, in Fatima, the difference is quality.
Paul Mike and his accomplice, Floyd Compton, were filed on for violation of Section 209 of the Penal Code, kidnapping for the purpose of robbery, and Section 211 of the Penal Code, robbery in the first degree. They were also filed on for one count of grand theft auto. They were tried and convicted and received sentences as prescribed by law. Kidnapping for the purpose of robbery, where bodily harm is inflicted, is punishable by the death sentence or life imprisonment without possibility of parole. Robbery is punishable by imprisonment from 5 years to life. Grand theft auto is punishable by a prison term of not less than 1 nor more than 10 years. The victim, Kenneth Gorman, finally recovered after more than 3 months in the hospital.
Ladies and gentlemen, next week, Dragnet presents a trilogy. 3 documented case histories of vital importance to all of us. This trio of authentic stories is both tragic and terrifying. Please try to hear Dragnet next week when we present our trilogy.
You have just heard Dragnet, a series of authentic cases from official files. Technical advice comes from the Office of Chief of Police W.H. Parker, Los Angeles Police Department. Technical advisors, Captain Jack Donahoe, Sergeant Marty Wynn, Sergeant Vance Brasher. Heard tonight were Vic Perrin, Virginia Gregg, Sam Edwards. Script by Jim Moser. Music by Walter Schumann. Hal Gibney speaking.
Ladies and gentlemen, you may now read Dragnet every day on the comic page of your favorite newspaper. Please consult your local daily paper. King Size Fatima has brought you Dragnet, transcribed from Los Angeles. Adventure is yours tonight with Counter Spy on NBC. The story you are about to hear is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent.
Fatima Cigarettes, king size, extra mild and soothing, brings you Dragnet on both radio and television.
You're an investigating sergeant. You're assigned to Traffic Division, AID. Death and tragedy is forecast for the people of your city. You don't know who the victims will be. You don't know how many there will be. Your job? Try and stop it. Compare Fatima with any other king-size cigarette.
Yes, compare Fatima with any other king-size cigarette.
1. Fatima's length filters the smoke 85 millimeters for your protection.
2. Fatima's length cools the smoke for your protection.
3. Fatima's length gives you those extra puffs, 21% longer than standard cigarette size.
Fatima gives you more for your money.
And in king-size Fatima, you get an extra mild and soothing smoke, plus the added protection of Fatima quality. Buy Fatima in the bright, sunny yellow pack.
Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case transcribed from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Thursday, July 3rd. It was warm in Los Angeles. We were working the night watch out of Traffic Division, accident investigation. My partner's Frank Smith. The boss is Deputy Chief Caldwell. My name's Friday. I was on the way back from the scene of the accident, and it was 9:42 p.m. when I got to Georgia Street Receiving Hospital, second floor, treatment room 5.
Joe?
Hi. How's it going?
Not too good.
How are they?
Bad, all four of them. Girl who was riding in the front seat, both legs crushed.
Oh, no.
Talking to Doc Hall, nothing he can do. Going to have to amputate.
That's a shame. All the parents been notified?
Yeah, they're on their way down now. Cigarette?
Yeah, thanks.
I got a match.
All right, thank you.
Still touch and go with the kid who was driving, the Wheeler boy. Doc doesn't give him much of a chance.
Possible to get a statement from him?
No, still unconscious. They get pictures of the wreck, all right?
Yeah, they did. The car the kids were in laid down 207 feet of skid marks. From the condition of the car, it's a wonder any of them are alive. Not a straight piece of metal in the wreck, Frank. How about that couple in the sedan they sideswiped?
Doctor isn't sure. Both have internal injuries. Woman's right leg is fractured. Man has a possible concussion. Lousy thing.
Every one of them's old enough to know better. What made them think they could get away with it? Oh, hi, Doctor.
Friday?
Any change, Doc?
Which one you mean?
The Wheeler boy?
No, it's still the same. The other 3 kids are doing a little better. It's a shame. None of them are more than 14, 15 years old, are they?
Both the girls are 13. The Wheeler boy's 16. The other boy's 12.
Yeah. Pretty young to be out alone burning up the streets. How'd it happen?
Well, one of the girls told us that the Wheeler boy picked up the 3 of them about 8 o'clock tonight. Asked them if they wanted to go for a ride in his father's new car. Well, they thought they were going down to the neighborhood drive-in for a Coke.
Yeah.
Well, the girl said they drove around the neighborhood for a while. Wheeler boy was bragging about what a good driver he was, how fast the car would go. Kept telling the kids that he could drive as fast as his father did.
Yeah. Well, I hear it's too bad you can't hold the father.
Yeah, it's pretty obvious he didn't set much of an example. Well, the girl told us that the Wheeler boy drove down to the highway. She spotted a police car behind him and told the Wheeler kid to slow up. He said something like, "My father outran a cop the other day. If he can do it, I know I can." Well, the kids pleaded with him to pull over and stop, and he wouldn't listen. Told him to shut up and hang on, that he'd show him some real fancy driving.
Had to chase him more than 19 miles, Doc. Car in pursuit radioed in for help. We tried to block off the intersections ahead of them. They were just going too fast.
How'd the boy crack up?
Sideswiped the sedan with that old couple in it. Lost control of the car, went into a skid. The car hit the curb, blew a tire. Piled head-on into a parked truck. The impact drove the engine of the truck right back into the cab. I never saw anything like it. The car the kids were in is almost broken in half.
Well, I've done everything I can for him. I'll keep the Wheeler boy in the critical room. Nurse is in there with him now. I'll move the other 3 back into the ward.
We want to make our report, Doc. You got an empty slip on it?
Yeah, I just finished it. It's right in here.
Thank you.
You know, I got a 16-year-old boy, Friday. Every time I make one of these things out, I say a prayer.
Yeah.
Hope they never have to make one out for my boy. Well, excuse me. I better go back in there and check on that youngster.
All right, Doc. Thanks. Look at this MT, Frank. Everything in the book.
What's that?
Listen. Grace Andrews, 13 years, occupation student. Fractured jaw, teeth knocked out, facial cuts, internal injuries, crushed pelvis, and shock. Here's the next one. Nancy Haynes, 13 years, occupation student. Deep facial cuts, compound fractures of the right and left legs, crushed chest, possible concussion and shock. The other boy, Walter Stewart, 12 years, occupation student. Deep facial cuts and contusions, shock and possible concussion. Fractured ribs, possible puncture of the left lung, left hand severed above the knuckles. Here's the slip from the Wheeler boy. Charles Wheeler, 16 years, occupation student. Crushed forehead, possible spinal fracture, both legs broken. Fractured ribs, broken pelvis, deep facial cuts, severe internal injuries, and shock.
My name's Wheeler. Where's my boy? What have they done with him?
All right, take it easy, Mr. Wheeler. Doctor will be out in a minute.
I don't want the doctor. I want to see my boy. Where is he? What happened anyway?
Would you keep your voice down, please? The doctor will see you in a minute. He's with your son now.
Who are you? What do you know about it?
Police officers. Your boy had an accident. We're investigating
I
it.
know he had an accident. They already told me that. Whose fault was it? Who ran into him?
Nobody ran into him, Mr. Wheeler. The accident was his fault.
What do you mean it couldn't have been? That boy's a good driver. I taught him myself.
Would you keep your voice down, please?
I want to get to the bottom of this thing. I want to see my boy. What are you stalling me for?
Nobody's stalling you, sir. You can see your boy as soon as the doctor okays it.
I'm going to take him to my own doctor. I wouldn't trust my boy in a place like this. Who ordered him here anyway?
We did. It was an emergency. The ambulance took him here from the scene of the accident.
Well, you still haven't told me how it happened. Now, why do you say it was his fault? Why are you accusing him?
It was his fault, Mr. Wheeler. There's no doubt about it. He was speeding, and a police car tried to catch him. He tried to outrun him. In the process, he ran into a parked truck.
I knew it wasn't his fault.
Sir?
So he was going a little too fast. Charlie's a good driver. Why'd you have to chase him? Probably the cause of the whole thing. You're the ones to blame.
All right, take it easy, Mr. Wheeler.
Take it easy, nothing. Why couldn't you let the kid alone? He can drive as well as I can. Think I'd let the kid have my new car if he couldn't handle it?
What about a driver's license, sir? Your son have one?
Well, no, I didn't have a chance to get him one. Too busy to take him down there for the test. It's a stupid thing anyway. Any moron can pass it. The point is, you didn't have to chase him. He wasn't hurting anybody, was he? I taught him how to drive. He drives just like I do. He's a fast driver, but he's a good one. I ought to know.
Our radio cars had to chase your boy 19 miles, Mr. Wheeler. 11 cars chased him. Your boy was endangering the life of everybody on that highway. In a 25-mile-an-hour zone, he was clocked at better than 70 miles an hour. At one time, we figured he must have been doing better than 90. He went through a dozen boulevard stops. He barely missed a woman pedestrian. The woman had a baby in her arms. Just before he cracked up, he sideswiped another car, an old couple in it. They're in this hospital, too, and they're hurt. They're hurt bad. Now, you go ahead inside and make those 2 old people believe your son's a good driver, that he was just having some innocent fun, will you?
It's not all his fault. He probably wouldn't have done it if you didn't chase him. I know my boy can handle a car. I've raced cops myself once in a while. Charlie was with me. He's cool. He knows what he's doing behind the wheel. Just because you drive fast doesn't make you a bad driver.
It helps.
Right. Yeah, Doc. Can you spare a minute? This is Mr. Wheeler, father of the boy who was driving the car. This is Dr. Hall.
Where's Charlie? I want to see him.
I'm sorry, sir. You'll have to wait a few minutes. He's lost a lot of blood. They're giving him another transfusion.
What's the matter with him? How bad is he hurt?
Here's a report. Read it yourself.
What kind of treatment you giving him? You sure you know what you're doing?
I think so. I've been on this job for 11 years. That's how long I've been dealing with fools like you.
What?
I heard you ranting and raving out here at these offices. Well, let me tell you this, mister. All 3 of you were wrong. That boy of yours lying in there isn't to blame. You are, his own father. You were driving that car tonight. I heard you ranting out here. You taught him how to drive. He can drive as well as you can. He's cool. He knows how to handle a car. You taught him how to race cops. Well, the results are inside, Mr. Wheeler.
Look here, I don't want any sermons from you. I want to see my boy. I want to see him right now.
You're not going to get any sermons from me. They wouldn't help you. But I'm going to tell you what's on my mind. I've seen your kind for years. I've sewed them up, I've patched them up, and I've pulled a sheet over their face. So far, you're lucky it hasn't happened to you. You're on borrowed time. Must be true what they say. The good Lord takes care of the fools and the drunks. Well, I can tell you now I wouldn't feel half as bad if it was you inside there on that bed instead of your son. Oh, when are people like you going to learn? When are you going to learn?
I came down here to see my son. You're not impressing me a bit.
Well, then maybe you ought to come down here some weekend, some holiday. Maybe that'd impress you. You stand inside that treatment room with me and watch them come over that table. A lot of them come in married and go out widowed, all kinds, all ages. They pull them out of the wrecks and they drag them in here and they expect miracles from us. They're battered and broken, and some of them you have to look twice because it's hard to tell they're human beings. You know who's responsible, Mr. Wheeler? You know who? Arrogant, egotistical, good, fast drivers like you. Well, I'm sick of you, Mr. Wheeler. I'm sick of the whole rotten, stupid mess. I'm sick of fools like you.
Dr. Hall?
Yeah.
See you a moment, please.
Yeah, all right.
Sure makes himself out an expert, doesn't he? He preaches to everybody who comes in here?
No, matter of fact, he's usually pretty quiet.
Well, what's the matter with him? Get out of the wrong side of bed?
Maybe this will explain it. He's got a 16-year-old boy of his own.
What's he beefing about? It's my kid that's hurt, not his.
Every kid he treats is his.
Mr. Wheeler.
Is it all right? Can I see Charlie now?
Yeah.
Thanks. I'm sorry about everything, Doctor. I really am. I'm sorry.
So am I, Mr. Wheeler. Your boy's dead.
When George Wheeler recovered from the initial shock of his son's death, we told him it was necessary that the body be removed to the county morgue where an autopsy would be performed the following day. After that, his son's remains would be available to a mortuary of the family's choosing. Frank and I drove back to the office where we filed a 311 dead body report on 16-year-old Charles Wheeler. After that, we called the coroner's office and notified them to pick up the body at Georgia Street Receiving Hospital. 10:35 p.m. We left the traffic division garage and went back on the air. We were cruising the central area. 10:53 p.m. We got the call. Aliso and Spring, ambulance follow-up, victim of a hit-and-run driver. We were within a block of the call.
Must be it up ahead, Joe, on the corner.
Oh, yeah. You can pull up any place right here, I guess. Mm-hmm. All right, come on. Slide out my side. Huh?
Yeah. Let us through, please. Police officers, excuse me.
Pardon me. I wonder if I can get through here, please. Excuse us.
Doctor? You fellas doctors?
No, we're police officers.
Oh, yeah, I see. Where's the ambulance? Be here in a minute. How'd it happen? The old man was trying to cross the street. A bus hit him. Yeah, look at him. Terrible, poor old guy. You work around here? Yeah, I sell papers right over in that corner over there. My name's Harry Johansson. You want me for a witness?
Frank, get his name and address, will you? I'll check the old man.
Yeah, right.
All right, now don't move around, Dad. Don't try to get up. The ambulance will be here in a minute.
I'm hurt bad. Terrible pain in my back.
Your legs hurt you, Dad?
No, I don't feel a thing in my legs. It's just my back. I got a terrible pain.
What's your name?
Clyde Logan.
Where do you live, Dad?
Over there, just up in the corner. Apartment 37. Hey, could you go over and see Leona, see if she's all right? She's going to be awful worried.
Yeah, we'll take care of it. You been drinking, Dad?
Well, just a nightcap. The doctor said I ought to have a glass of port every night. I was just on the way home when it happened. Oh, my back.
You sure it was just a glass of port, Dad?
Yeah, that's right. I never touch anything but that glass of port before I go to bed. See, would you please send somebody to see about Leona, apartment 37? She's going to be awful worried.
Yes, sir. We'll take care of it.
Oh, this feels terrible. I got to get up. Help me up, will you, officer?
All right. You sure you feel up to it, Dad?
I don't know. It's an awful pain in my back. I know I'm not supposed to move till the ambulance gets here, but maybe it'll go away if I stand up.
All right, sir. Here you go. Easy now. Frank, see you a minute?
Yeah.
Cancel the ambulance, will you? We won't need it. Cancel it. Call the wagon.
Yeah, all right.
I'm going to get help, Sergeant. Are they coming for me?
Yeah, you're going to get help, Dad. It's on the way.
I come to the corner here and I started to cross over. And what do you think? Right out of nowhere, this big red bus come up the street. It must have been going 60. He hit me and kept right on going. I thought for a minute there I was gone for sure.
Did you say it was a big red bus?
It's red or blue. What's the difference? They run me down. Oh, look at that. Get the ambulance quick. Look at that.
What's that?
My shirt front here. Look, it's all red. It's blood. Get some help. I'm bleeding to death. Get some help. Oh, there's a sharp pain in my ribs.
Let's take your coat off here. That's the idea.
That's better. The pain's gone now.
Yeah, well, I don't know what your blood type is, Dad, but you're bleeding port wine.
Oh, no.
Worse than you thought it was, Dad. You broke your bottle of port.
It's all wrapped up in papers, too. It's a wonder how it happened. Just look at my brand new shirt, all that good wine.
Joe? Well, I canceled the ambulance, called communications for the wagon. What's the score?
Say, would you please send somebody up to my place to see Leona? It's apartment 37, building right up in the corner. Please look after Leona.
Yeah, we'll tell her, Dad.
Oh, say, when you see her, would you please give her this?
What's this?
Piece of liver. Leona just loves liver.
I didn't know you were married, Clyde. When did that happen?
I'm not married.
Well, then who's Leona?
That's my cat, the best friend I got in the world. Hey, where's the ambulance?
No, there's not going to be any ambulance, Dad. We got a car coming instead.
But I'm a sick man, Sergeant. I need an ambulance.
You're a hit-and-run victim every time you get enough port wine, Dad.
I don't know what you mean. It's a glass of port every night. That's all I ever take.
What time do you think it is now?
Time? I don't know. I went over to Jack. It's about 8 o'clock. Must be 8:15, 8:30. Why?
It's 10 minutes past 11, Dad. You're overdue.
Get it, Joe. What's the pitch?
Don't you know him? Clyde Logan. Got an arrest sheet as long as your arm. Somebody down at Central tagged him with the name Hit and Run Logan. He's a town character.
Well, what's the idea of the hit and run story?
Oh, he likes attention. Every time he gets loaded, he likes to ride in an ambulance with a siren wide open, so he lays down in the street, pretends he's been hit.
I see.
Every city's got at least one of them, I guess. Some of them turn in fire alarms. Some of them confess to murder. Some of them just beat their wives. Clyde likes to be a hit-and-run victim.
See, what are you going to do? You're going to lock me up?
No choice, Dad.
I suppose not. Say, would you talk to the jailer and see if I could get my old job back? I mean, you know, anything in the kitchen. I like to work in the kitchen.
Yeah, all right, we'll talk to him.
And now, just one more thing.
Yeah?
Would you go see Jackie Martin for me? Place right up the street there. You know, you see the sign there?
Yeah, uh-huh.
Jackie's Old-Time Wine Shop. That's the place. Well, you go in there and you ask for Jackie. You tell him that I sent you, see. And you can say that he's not going to get any more of my business. You tell him I won't even pay him what I owe him.
Well, what's the matter, Dad? Why are you mad at him?
Well, I got good enough reason. All the trade that I've given him and all the money I spent there, a double-crosser. You can't keep customers that way, and he'll find that out.
What do you mean, Dad?
Well, look, right here on the sidewalk.
Yeah?
Jackie Martin, him and his cheap bottles.
You are listening to Dragnet, authentic stories of your police force in action.
Friends, because of its quality, its extra mildness, its better flavor and aroma, more smokers coast to coast are switching to king-size Fatimas every day. Yes, more smokers coast to coast are finding that in Fatima, the difference is quality. Now, here's the practical way to prove Fatima quality yourself.
Compare Fatima with any other king-size cigarette.
1. Fatima's length filters the smoke 85 millimeters for your protection.
2. Fatima's length cools the smoke for your protection.
3. Fatima's length gives you those extra puffs, 21% longer than standard cigarette size.
Fatima gives you more for your money.
And in king-size Fatima, you get an extra mild and soothing smoke, plus the added protection of Fatima quality.
Remember, more and more of your friends are switching to king-size Fatimas.
Compare them yourself. King-size Fatima, extra mild and soothing, plus the added protection of Fatima quality. Look for the bright sunny yellow pack. Buy king-size Fatima.
Thursday, July 3rd, 11:30 p.m. There was still half an hour to go before the July 4th weekend even started. But in the last 7.5 hours, Central Traffic had answered 13 major accident calls. 4 of them were fatalities. If it was any indication of the next 72 hours, the 4th of July weekend was due to spell death and tragedy for more people than we figured. 12:10 a.m., we received another ambulance follow-up call, this time at 11th and Georgia. A young couple on a motorcycle trying to beat the stop signal had crashed headlong into the side of an eastbound bus. One was taken to the hospital, one was taken to the county morgue. 12:20 a.m. After taking care of the necessary reports, we impounded the motorcycle. The next half hour was fairly quiet. 12:55 a.m., we went off the air and stopped to have a cup of coffee. 1:15 a.m., we called back in service. We continued cruising the central area. At 1:48 a.m., 12 minutes before quitting time, we got a call for Wilshire and Toberman Street, an ambulance follow-up, city property damage, motor officer. 1:15 a.m., we arrived at the scene. Approximately 20 feet from the southwest corner, a police motorcycle was sprawled on the street. The front of it was demolished. About 30 feet from the motorcycle, lying face down in the street, was the figure of a man in a police uniform.
All right, would you step back, please? Up on the sidewalk.
Please, everybody, back up there on the sidewalk, please.
Help me. Please.
All right, don't try to move, fella.
It's Bryant.
Hey, Mike. Mike?
Tried to miss it. Couldn't help it.
Take it easy now. Don't try to talk.
Ambulance is on the way, Mike.
Don't kid me, Joe. My chest hurts. Hey, but my collar can't breathe.
Yeah, all right, sure, Mike. Come on, take it easy now. Don't move.
Chasing this car.
Cream convertible. Man, woman. I think he was 502. Big chase. Red light. Siren.
All right, now take it easy, Mike. Relax, will
Other
you?
car turned right in front of me. I saw it. Nothing I could do. Couldn't stop. Turned right in front of me. Evelyn. Gonna go see her. Evelyn. She's waiting.
All right, will you take it easy, Mike? Don't talk and don't move. This will work out all right. Take it easy.
Joe. Evelyn. Joe.
Hey, Mike. Mike.
Joe, got a coat here. Slip it under his head. It'll be more comfortable.
No, he doesn't need it, Frank. He's comfortable. 1:57 a.m. The ambulance arrived, and O'Brien's body was removed to the county morgue. Photographs were taken, diagrams were drawn, and statements taken from the witnesses. A truck from Central Garage arrived and started removing the dead officer's motorcycle. Frank and I went over and started interviewing the driver of the car which O'Brien had collided with. She identified herself as Corrine Norton, a bookkeeper at a South Los Angeles defense plant.
I was making a left turn, that's all. Next thing I knew, he hit my car. You can see what he did to it. Who's going to pay for the damages?
We can talk about that later, Miss Norton. Our first concern is we'd like to find out what happened.
Well, there's nothing to it. I already told you. This cop ran into me. There wasn't anything I could do.
Would you start from the beginning, please, and tell us exactly what happened?
From the beginning of what? I told you. You ran into my car. What more do you want to know? Sorry it happened, but I couldn't help it. Look at my car. How am I going to get to work in the
Will you
morning?
please tell us what happened here, miss, just as near as you can remember?
Well, I was going down this way on Wilshire on my way home. I started to make a left turn onto Toberman, and this cop on the motorcycle drove right into me. Wasn't anything I could do. His fault. I couldn't help it.
Could we see your operator's license, please?
Oh, certainly. Let's see it. Here's someplace. Yeah, here it is.
All right, you want to read it off, Frank?
Yeah. California operator's license number B208-927.
Okay, got it.
Corrine, C-O-R-I-N-N-E-M, Norton. 10,033 Ruth Ellen, Los Angeles.
10,033?
Right. Female, 5'3.5", 123 pounds. Born February 18th, 1909. Blue eyes, brown hair. Must wear adequate glasses.
Just a minute. Okay.
You have your glasses with you, Miss Norton?
Oh, yes, right here in my purse. I really don't have to wear them. I can see just as well without them.
Were you wearing your glasses at the time of the accident?
Yes, I was. I took them off right after the accident. Here they are, right here in my purse. See?
Miss Norton, we understand the motorcycle officer had his red light and siren in operation at the time of this accident. Did you see it or hear it?
No, I didn't hear any siren, and I certainly didn't see any red light.
Then when's the first time you saw the officer, ma'am?
When he hit me. He seemed to come out of nowhere. He was going very fast.
You say you were in the process of making a left turn. Is that right, Miss Norton? Did you give a hand signal indicating that you were going to turn?
Of course I did. I always do.
You touched your car since the accident.
What do you mean if I touched it?
Was your car just like it was when you were driving it prior to the accident?
Yes, I suppose it is. I mean, with the exception of the damage he did.
You're sure you gave a hand signal, Miss Norton?
Of course I am. What's this all about, anyway?
Well, if your car's exactly the way it was before the accident, and you're telling us the truth here, how do you account for the fact that the left-hand window of your car is still rolled up here?
What?
The window of the driver's side of your car there, it's closed tight. You couldn't have made a left-hand signal, now could you?
What? I don't understand it. I'm sure I made a signal. I think so, anyway. Are you trying to say I'm to blame for that cop's death?
We're not trying to say anything, ma'am. We're trying to get the facts here.
Well, you certainly have a funny way of doing it. What do you call facts, anyway? Trying to incriminate me in this thing? I was making a left turn and he ran into me. It's as simple as that. I don't know what you're so excited about.
The man just died, Miss Norton. We're trying to find out why.
Well, why ask me? I didn't kill him. Speeding along on a motorcycle like that. He shouldn't have been going that fast anyway.
That's his job, ma'am. That's what they pay him for. He was chasing a drunk driver.
All right, that's his job. He knew it was dangerous when he took it.
Yes, ma'am.
It's part of his job. That's what we pay him for.
Well, he's dead, Miss Norton. Who's going to pay him for that? 2:15 a.m. A traffic car took Corrine Norton downtown to the station where her statement was to be taken and a further investigation made. Frank and I contacted Sergeant Joe Whitehead of the medical detail and informed him of Mike O'Brien's death. He told us he'd notify the business office and the parents of the dead officer. Because of our close association with O'Brien, we happened to know that he planned to get married July 15th, the first day of his vacation. The girl he was going to marry was an Evelyn Monroe. She lived in the Silver Lake district. We told Whitehead that we'd notify her. 2:30 p.m. Frank and I drove out Sunset Boulevard to the girl's house.
Oh, hi, Frank. Joe.
Oh,
Is Mike with you?
Well, no, he isn't, Evelyn.
Well, come on in. Have some coffee. I'm just waiting for Mike.
All right, thank you.
Guess Mike's a little late tonight. Come on in. How do you like your coffee, cream and sugar?
Mike will be all right, thanks. Both of us.
Look at the dining room table. Pretty nice, isn't it?
Yeah, Evelyn, it's very nice.
Nicest wedding presents I think I've ever seen. Didn't know we had so many friends. You see what the boys in the motor squad sent us? Electric mixer, all the attachments, too.
Yeah, we see him. Very nice.
What's the matter, Joe? Hard day?
Yeah, it was. It was a tough one.
Oh, you're just like Mike. When he gets off work, he's grumpy as a bear. I don't know why. Nothing tough about your job. You ought to work for the man I work for. Coffee's coming right up.
Joe, you're going to have to tell her I can't. Do me a favor.
Yeah, I'll try.
Here you are. I think you ought to like these donuts. I get them at the bakery down the street. Mike's crazy about them.
Would you sit down, Evelyn, please? I'd like to talk to you.
Oh, sure, Joe. You sound serious. What's the matter?
It's about Mike, Evelyn.
Mike? What about him?
But he wanted us to come by and see you. He was hurt tonight.
Oh, no. Was it bad?
Yeah, I'm afraid so.
What happened? Where is he? Can I see him?
No, not now. A little later.
What happened? They told his mother and dad?
Yeah, Evelyn. Joe Whitehead's out there now.
Joe Whitehead, medical detail?
Yeah, that's right.
He usually doesn't go out right away unless they're dead. Joe? Joe, tell me the truth. What's happened to Mike? What's happened?
Well, he's dead, Evelyn.
No. It isn't the truth. He can't be dead.
He was chasing a drunk driver over on Wilshire. A woman turned in front of him. Couldn't get out of the way. Didn't have a chance to lay his bike down. Sorry.
It's not true. Can't be it's not true. He called me at 11. He'll be here at any minute. He'll be here any minute. Mike. Mike!
Oh, Evelyn, please. There's nothing you can do. Nothing anyone can do. If crying would help, I'd cry with you.
But it's not right. It isn't right. Why should he die? Why should he?
I'm sorry. Went fast. He didn't suffer. Talked about you. The last thing was about you.
It's hard to realize. I can't understand it. I can't. There's no reason for it.
No reason for a lot of it.
Why, Joe? Why did he have to die? Why did he?
Oh, I don't know. I got an idea, maybe, Evelyn.
Why?
Somebody forgot to put out their arm.
The story you have just heard was true. The names were changed to protect the innocent.
On October 2nd, an inquest was held at the county morgue, city and county of Los Angeles, state of California. The coroner's jury returned a verdict of excusable homicide in the death of motorcycle officer Michael O'Brien. In a moment, a word about another trial.
Now, here is our star, Jack Webb.
Thank you, George Fenneman. Friends, I know a lot of you listeners have taken my advice and switched to Fatima's. Now, if you haven't, how about comparing Fatima this weekend for sure? You see, Fatima quality stands out by comparison. And that's why I ask you to try Fatima's. Compare them with the king-size cigarette you've been smoking. You'll find Fatima's give you more for your money. An extra mild and soothing smoke, plus the added protection of Fatima quality. Remember, king-size Fatima's in the bright, sunny yellow pack.
Normally, at this time, we give you the result or outcome of legal proceedings against a person or persons for criminal action. You've already heard the results of the documentary cases portrayed on Dragnet tonight. 4th of July weekend is at hand. 40 million automobiles will drive 5 billion miles. Please make every mile a safe mile. Be considerate of the other driver on the road and have a happy weekend. We don't want to read your name on Dragnet's trial page. You have just heard Dragnet, a series of authentic cases from official files. Technical advice comes from the Office of Chief of Police W.H. Parker, Los Angeles Police Department. Technical advisors Captain Jack Donahoe, Sergeant Marty Wynn, Sergeant Vance Brasher. Heard tonight were Vic Perrin, Stacey Harris, Vic Rodman. Script by Jim Moser. Music by Walter Schumann. Hal Gibney speaking.
Ladies and gentlemen, you may now read Dragnet every day on the comic page of your favorite newspaper. Please consult your local daily paper. King Size Fatima has brought you Dragnet, transcribed from Los Angeles.
Yes, adventure is yours tonight with Counter Spy on NBC.